What's up, y'all? Peace and good evening. How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? Let me just get my bearings here. I should have did that before I turned my camera on. What's good, family? How y'all doing? I'm gonna get started in just a second, but let me do a quick video so I can post on Instagram and Facebook and my membership channel and let everybody know that I am live, that we are live. Shout out to you guys in the chat room. And let me see, let me do this so I can keep the bells in the background consistent in my video. Let me just play that on this other apparatus. Okay, yeah, there we go. And this is a really good Gerlin glass, or Gerlin, Jeralyn glass. This is a really good 3 meditation sound bowl compilation song / album that lasts an hour and 12 minutes, but it's one of my favorites. So I'm going to play that in the background. And much love to all the beautiful people that are coming in and those of you guys that are in the chat room. I just want to do a short video and let everybody know that I am live. So you guys can see what this looks like on the other end in terms of when I'm posting videos and letting you guys know I'm live. And let's see here. Did I start on time? It's 5:05. Yeah, I tried to start at 5 o'clock to make sure I was on time, but it always takes people 5, maybe 10 minutes to sort of trickle in. So just give me a second here and we will get started. And let me know if these sound bowls contradict with my voice at all. I have a light in the background that's like shining on the very top of my forehead right here, but that's also probably the Christ light within, you know. It's picking up on my phone too. Let's see if I do that. Okay. Peace, what's good? How y'all doing? This is ZaZaAli. I am currently live on YouTube, getting ready to do a special edition of Headline News. There's no episode number to this particular episode. Actually, this is a special edition for the beginning of 2026, talking about closing out some things in 2025, but as well as current topics, trending topics, especially, you know, the one that's everybody's talking about right now and the way the United States government is moving. So I'm going to add the link in this to this video so you guys can tap in with us on YouTube. We are live right now, and I will see you soon. Peace and love. Okay, so I can't even see myself in this video for one, but that's okay, because as long as my voice can be heard, it's going to serve its purpose. And let me come to YouTube real quick. Good, how y'all doing? This is ZaZaAli. Peace, what's good? How y'all doing? This is ZaZaAli. I don't hear you talk. I don't like hearing myself talk. I don't even like listening to my videos anymore. I used to have to edit my videos when we were doing DVDs and making DVDs when I was making my own DVDs. And oh my God, it's like somebody scratching their hands on a chalkboard for me to go back and listen to my own voice. So yeah, I'm gonna turn her down real quick. And I'm going to post this link and let everybody know that I am live. And then I'm going to do that in my membership channel. And we are going to get started because I have a lot to cover. And I don't want to hold you guys for a long time because it's Sunday evening. And hopefully you're somewhere relaxing and enjoying your day and enjoying your life, you know? So last thing, let me come here. Those of you guys that are in my membership channel, you'll notice that the communities page has been completely updated. The app situation, peace, family, live, headline news, special edition for 2026. Come through. That's interesting. Okay, so I'm just gonna post that. Hmm. All right. I have to figure that out later. Peace. What's good? How y'all doing? This is ZaZaAli. Today is Sunday, January 4th, 2026. I pray this message reaches you all in the best of health, spirit, and mind. I am doing well. I've been wanting to sit down and do a live and do kind of like an update with you guys for some time now, but I've also been very busy trying to get this Teacher's Edition version of Ancient People done, and it has proven to be a pretty formidable task. So I've been focusing on that as well as a couple of other big projects that I'm working on the side. So we'll talk about that at another time because I want to make sure that I get into what I want to talk about too quickly. Much love to everybody in the chat room. I see you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me, for your time and energy and attention. I never take that for granted. It's my born day, so this is a gift. Zaza, happy I didn't go to bed and catching the live. I'm so happy that you're with us. I'm so grateful for your life. And I'm so grateful that you got a chance to tap in with us on your birthday. And you realize that, like, even with, I was thinking about this with a friend a couple of weeks ago, but it's like, these celebrations of life are like these real strong, energetic sort of markers in our life. And if we are honoring and valuing and appreciating ourselves consistently, then we will have those ongoing, it's kind of like an energetic, good job, keep going, and just celebrating what you've overcome or what you've been through in the last year, how you've grown, how you have changed your perspective, and which is critical. And I know I'm always evaluating myself like that on my birthday, but then also just when the years as the years pass, right at the beginning of the year, and taking nothing away from March being the actual new year versus January. Yeah, but when I started the video, I said, January 4th, 2026. So there is a relative truth to this being a new year. And then particular, as I always say, anytime you have billions of people, B with a B, around the world that are intentionally invested in and energetically pouring into and involved in one particular thing, whether it's a religion or whether it's an event like New Year's Eve, then yeah, it is live and active in the collective consciousness, and it is creating reality. So it is real, right? And I think that for me is so important, and I always kind of emphasize that because whether we're talking religion, spirituality, metaphysics, African spirituality, or whatever different, whatever's your flavor, right? It all still goes back to certain basic understanding and principles. And I don't say basic lightly, but wisdom is really simple. Here I am going off on this thing that I said I wasn't going to do in my mind because I wanted to make sure I stay on topic. So let me do just that. I'm going to tap in with you guys real quick in the chat room. Hello, haven't heard from you in a minute. Thought you must have gotten yourself married and just decided to disappear for a while. No, actually, I have not. I have been very focused, though, and very intentional with how I've been spending my energy and spending my time. I had to do some real strong pivots in terms of my business and where I was placing my energy and my output versus my input, right? And output versus income, and like how much time I'm spending on certain things, and the quantifiable benefit to said things. And so I just pivoted. I got to a point a couple of months ago where I realized that I needed to like 100% focus on my textbook and focus on getting it out into the world in these different sort of tentacles of what that means in the publishing industry, in, you know, as a self publisher, the school aspect of it, the direct to consumer aspect of it. You know, there's a lot of layers to it that I have learned. The book starting out as 2 books and now it's 3 books, and the production of 3 books versus, you know, 2 or just the one that I might need at the time. So, but I've had a very beautiful and important and valuable learning curve when it comes to this book and the publishing industry. And so I'm going to be reminding you guys as we have this conversation, because this is Headline News, a special episode. We're going to talk about some trending topics that are happening in, you know, in the world, specifically the United States recent actions, which have been, Donald Trump is the face, but we should all know at this point, especially post 2020, I expect that my audience knows that he's just a face and a representation that's representing something much bigger than his arms, you know, like what was that Nas said, your arms too short to box with God. Yeah, Trump's arms are too short, literally and figuratively, to box with the gods of this world. So he's playing his position as they are all playing their position. But the important thing about that is that we should also be playing our position too. And the ping pong of consciousness is on 1,000 right now. This is why I've intentionally been like taking time off of social media, like, you know, monitoring the type of conversations that I'm having, monitoring the things that I'm focused on, because the Jedi mind tricks, the spiritual warfare, the energy hijacking, the soul hijacking that's taking place on this planet right now is at an epic proportion. And so when I talk about this, you know, the microcosm and the macrocosm, it's like, yeah, we're all in this ping pong consciousness where yesterday everybody was talking about this, today everybody's talking about that. And rightfully so, when you see, you know, evil kind of rear its ugly head and do what the representatives of this quote unquote nation are doing right now in Venezuela in particular, of course we should be outraged. Of course we should be concerned. Of course we should be, you know, invested, period, right? To add to that, the same thing that I added when I talked about Palestine and what was happened there and is continuing to happen there, but they're in a totally different phase of that strategy and agenda now, was that when I found that The Economist magazine cover, which I've shown you guys in several other episodes, probably at least 10 times at this point, and the magazine cover was from 2013. I don't know why I didn't upload that. Well, because it's not directly relative, but the magazine cover was from 2013, but within it was basically prophesized that the what happened on October 7th in terms of people flying in on paragliders in the most, you know, in terms of a place where the sky is supposed to be the most protected and the most highly defended. And some guys flew in on paragliders and now they don't have their land anymore. And the death toll over there is probably way more staggering than anything that we could possibly fathom. But the point is, when I'm looking at this Economist magazine and I see, yeah, this is exactly what's going to happen. And they put it right there in front of our faces, which is what they always do because they're trying to navigate karmic debt, right? So that's why they always tell you, that's why they put it in the films, etc. The films, the music, the media, right? So once that truth and that reality hit my mind's eye, I was like, okay, yes to being notified, yes to being informed, yes to you know, paying attention to what's happening in the collective consciousness, but yes to the bigger picture, yes to the bigger play. because for me, that is the formula for me to not get so emotionally involved and invested that now I'm off my square and I'm, ping ponging with today's news and yesterday's news, because we've known not just the people who have been paying attention to the quote unquote conspiracy world, but the people who have vision and foresight, right? The people who do research, the people who actually read and study the scriptures, the people who are spiritually aware and astute and that are sensitive to energy and that are paying attention to what's happening in the collective consciousness. There's a lot of hats that need to be worn in spiritual warfare on our side, right? And when I say our side, I'm talking about righteousness versus wickedness, evil versus good, right? Higher nature versus Satan. Because that's what this whole dance, that's better. I had to turn that light off. That's what this whole dance is really about, the light between darkness and lightness. But I'm not one of those spiritual teachers that are like, it's all one, it's all God. So, just embrace it all. Like, nah, I'm team love. I'm team seeing people flourish and seeing people thrive and seeing people happy and seeing people safe, not seeing those things and not being able to notice and to address and to, in some instances, be a part of fixing whatever the issue is. So, and there's that part of it, but then there's also the most important part, which is you, which is all any of us really have control over, right? So again, the ping ponging of consciousness is critical, and we're going to have to be, it's January 4th. This all popped off on the 3rd, right? But it's been building for some time now, just like a couple of the videos that I'm going to show that I've also talked about with Venezuela. Like this, if your third eye is operating at a functional capacity, you should have seen this rolling out. As we were talking about Venezuela and gangs and immigration and why are they helping them and not helping us, this was very active in the collective consciousness in Black America, but in America in general. Another program that they uploaded and downloaded into the mainframe of consciousness that most people fell for. And again, it's not that we don't need to be paying attention to these things or bringing awareness to these things, but the question is, what is the vantage point? What is the perspective? What is the underlying message, which right now has to be sovereignty? Yes, hold the government accountable, but be sovereign in your affairs. Well, what does that mean? It's going to mean some the same things in one regard and then different things in another. So I'm going to get to all of that. I actually had uploaded several videos into the back end of this video, but then I forgot how the system works and restarted my computer and realized that once I restart the computer, that they're no longer there. But it's cool because I have them all saved in a folder where it'll be cohesive and it won't, kind of interrupt the flow of the conversation. So shout out to everybody in the chat room. I want to remind you guys that I am a 7-time self-published author. This is my most recent book, and I'm going to have the paperback version of this book in a couple of days. I still have the sale price from the holidays up on this textbook and on my website, as well as all of my books, actually. And this is something that I'm meaning to go back and do. I've been in a zone with this, getting this teacher's edition done. But I have an issue with my email that I'm trying to get fixed because I switched my email service. So I've been working on that. It's like 2 weeks now, but it's been working for a week, but it was working with something else wrong. So I'm working with technical support to get that fixed. But in the meantime, I put the link in the description for all of my books, and all of my books are still on sale right now. And if you want to take advantage of that, because I'm probably going to go and clean all of that up and fix that up tomorrow, I would think. If you want to purchase or take advantage of any of those sales, you can do so by Cash App. And if you do so by Cash App, I will waive your shipping for whatever your order is. Cash App is just smoother. It's more conducive to an easy transaction for me. I don't have to pay to other parties. I can just, utilize my funds as I see fit. And then also it's instant. So Ancient People, a social studies and history textbook, as well as all of my other books, which I'm going to reference at different points in this conversation. But I want to bring this first video up from Tabitha Brown because I found it so cute, because even when I was watching the footage and I went on Instagram, and the first video that showed up was the explosions, right? Which is very intentional. The algorithm is very intentionally, doing that and making sure that we are privy to not just that war is happening, but the shock and awe of war, because they're always harnessing the collective energy. So when people say this is all about war, oil, this is way bigger than just oil. This is so much bigger than just oil. And we have to stop like minimizing and cheapening the value and importance of our lives, of our energy, of our emotional resonance, of our presence. Yes, they are 100% intentionally always focused on keeping you locked in your lower nature, always keeping you focused on the wrong foods, eating the wrong foods, always keeping you focused in a lust-based frequency, always keep you focused on debt and fear and anxiety and depression and all of the things, because when you're not trapped in those energies, they can't control you. So again, we have another war now where everybody was all looking one way or celebrating one thing or focused in one particular direction. And now everybody's focused in one particular direction. And I follow a lot of the, red Republican-ish, white, but conspiracy, right? I looked past a lot of stuff starting in 2020 and just started to tap in with people that were like aligned in terms of, figuring out what was really going on. So I still follow a lot of those pages. And it is so fascinating to me how many people are actually cheering this situation on, like Trump is actually interested in freeing anybody, anywhere in the world. So this is the divergent taking place right in front of us. Big homie CC, who I've referenced to, had a great deal of respect. I'm not really sure what's going on with him right now because, but that's not important. The main thing is that he put up a post and said that the deep state just took a major financial hit by this happening in Venezuela because of the situation with the oil. And it's like, what? The deep state just took a major financial hit. So, and again, this is somebody who I was like, think is highly intelligent and it still think he's highly intelligent. I'm just kind of scratching my head with a lot of people that are in that world that actually, so there's all these different extremities of personality and consciousness and whatnot that we're all kind of like juggling and navigating. So having control of your own mind is everything right now. Being able to think for yourself is everything right now. Having spiritual discernment and awareness is everything right now. I cannot emphasize that enough.
Hello there, honey. Y'all all right? Slide over a little bit. I wanted to talk to her behind you. Yeah, I'll be back. Oh, hey, girl. 2026. That's what they're calling you. Yeah, right. Listen. I know you only got here 4 days ago, so you don't really know us like that, and we don't know you. Okay, your mom and them called, Kalinda them. They had called and said you would come over and stay for a year. We agreed on that. Okay, but we got rules, house rules. You don't just come through here running. Okay, you came through ripping and running, breaking stuff, okay, tearing up stuff, stealing stuff, all the things, okay? That ain't what we be doing, okay? You gonna have to act like you got some sense, okay? I don't know what 2025 told you, but we sick and tired of her, and we easily can be sick and tired of you. So come in here and sit down like you got some sense, okay? All right, because again, you don't know us like that. It's been 4 days, and we don't know you. So that we're not even attached to you like that. All right? Sit down. Now go about your business. Have yourself a good day. But even if you can't have a good one, don't you dare go messing up nobody else's. I'll be over there in a minute, girl. Sit down.
So shock and awe, right? Very beginning of the year. What did we have last year at the very beginning of the year? We had the fires in LA. And I was right here in the midst of it, you know what I mean? Like just totally immersed in the whole experience, which I've gotten so much spiritual wisdom and downloads from that I'm still kind of like processing and sort of growing from and growing through, right? But we started the year last year out with the Elon Musk and the Tesla burning in front of the Trump building, that whole symbolic image that was just way too contrived to be real, right? We started the year with the Tesla truck on fire in the front of Trump's building, and then all of a sudden we've got the fires in California, which, in my opinion, there's no question that the same exact thing that happened there happened in Lahaina, Maui. How soon we forget, the attention span of the collective consciousness, and again, the ping pong consciousness, the ping ponging of our state of awareness on any given day. It's hard to stay focused. It's hard to stay centered, right? So we had the fires in LA and in LA at the beginning of last year, as well as a hodgepodge of things that just are. If I sat down and wrote the list, and I was actually thinking about doing that before I started this, and I was like, nah, because if I really sit down and write this list, it's gonna be quite intense and quite extensive, right? So we had the situation with Diddy last year and all of the media coverage that he received, and all of the media coverage that it's not so much media coverage now, right? Because he's incarcerated and everybody forgets about you when you're in jail, right? But I've seen this unfolding since 2020, and I knew it in my mind's eye, and it's just totally coming true, right? When I saw how they use celebrities for the rollout of the Jim Jones juice, when I saw how they use celebrities for the pandemic, right? This is why, in the bigger scheme of things, the people that are in control, the quote unquote elite, and the people that they control, just speaking about the ones they control, right? This is why they put all these people in certain positions, so that when it's time, right, just that one call where you make the person an offer they can't refuse, or that one call that takes 10 years or 20 years or 30 years or however many years. This is why I don't understand why 50 Cent is doing so much gloating right now. Because you got a boss to be playing in that realm and in that space that you're in. And I don't just mean the fact that he has money. I mean the fact that he's in the film industry. And of course, he enforced that all of his actors and actresses took that Jim Jones juice. So, I mean, he's already playing his position, right? And then doubled down on it when it became a thing. But he's already doing that. He's already, infiltrating the collective consciousness of Black young people in particular with the type of stuff that he covers in his films. I like power too, but the continuity of the type of content that he puts out, he's being used for a very subversive purpose. Not to mention the fact that now at 50 years old, he's like known for being the king of the internet social media wars. And I don't know if this is the best use for our 50-year-old some odd king's energy. I don't know. Maybe you guys will disagree. But the point is, I'm bringing this up because Will Smith, now he's the one of many to come, the next up. And it's hard for me to take up for Will Smith. It's hard for me to be on Will Smith's side because the video footage of this man and his son that was trending years ago, where he is like kissing his son in the mouth and forcing his son to kiss him, and just being like very graphically and uncomfortably sexualizing his son in terms of the game. Some people might say it's not sexualizing. It's just, okay, maybe it wasn't sexualizing, but his son was not with it at all. He didn't like it. Jaden Smith. So there's like a collage of videos where he's like manhandling him, trying to get him to kiss him in the mouth on camera. It's just hard for me as a mom to, you know what I mean? I need you to address that. I need clarity. What was happening there? So Will Smith being sued by violinists for wrongful termination and retaliation. Will Smith has been sued by a former violinist on his 2025 tour who alleges he was illegally fired in retaliation for reporting sexual harassment. Brian King Joseph, in a lawsuit filed on Monday in California state court, accuses the actor of predatory behavior and deliberately grooming and priming him for sexual exploitation. Though he doesn't cite a specific incident in which Smith was involved, he brings claims against wrongful termination, retaliation, and sexual harassment, among others. Now, I'm not going to get too deep in this. I actually didn't mean to start with this. Again, pardon me, because my the backdrop of my studio got taken out. I wanted to start with the conversation about Venezuela. So let me get back on my square in terms of my true original focus. Okay. And then the point about Will Smith, when I started with Diddy and how they're using celebrity and how they're all these celebrities are playing their position. Will Smith is getting ready to continue his humiliation ritual, which has been ongoing for some time now. He's getting ready to have to continue to play out his role, just like Diddy, right? And so the celebrity thing, I'll come back to it because I'm going to talk about Nicki Minaj and Cardi B in just a little bit. But first, the situation in Venezuela right now, right? And if you've read this book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins, then you can see the things that he actually talks about in this book playing out right in front of our eyes right now. And how they use, the quote unquote jackal, or how they use different political, economic, educational, right, industrial, all of the different aspects of civilization they are using to get their tentacles in these nations around the world in order to control them, in order to milk their natural resources, yes, but also to neutralize their power. And so in Confession, I highly suggest that, especially the people that are all wound up in this stuff and paying attention to it, I highly suggest that you guys read this book. And it's a fascinating read, but I can see everything that's happening right now with Venezuela, Nigeria, right? All of these different things are playing out like clockwork. So let me just pull up this video real quick. Same thing happened with Gaddafi. Same thing happened, 1,000 different ways over the course of the last 20 years, 30 years in America. It's the same playlist.
Hit me with the works. Iraq, Venezuela, go!
We're giving them full opportunity to do it the easy way. And when it doesn't work, we'll do it the hard way.
If we can do things the easy way, that's fine. And if we have to do it the hard way, that's fine too.
Chemical weapons is a threat to the United States.
Fentanyl poses a chemical weapons threat to the United States.
Al-Qaeda terrorists inside Iraq.
Al-Qaeda of our hemisphere.
We can get rid of Saddam. It could really begin to transform the region.
There's an opportunity to transform the entire region.
Bringing freedom and democracy.
Democracy and freedom
can serve as a beacon of hope.
Shock and awe.
So I'm still a homeless American citizen. I don't know why that particular comment stood out to me. But I'm glad you're here nonetheless. So here we have, at the very beginning of our 2026 Gregorian calendar year, right? We start out with war. We start out with, and we don't know at this stage of,
in what looks like maybe a gray or blue.
In the world of artificial intelligence, we don't know how much of this is really real and how much of this is not real. And I'm super just cautious, probably overly cautious at this point. But I've had the benefit and the blessing of being a researcher before social media. And so, and majority of that time, the internet was, viable and usable. But still, when you have a researcher sort of mentality, you're not just looking for a headline. You're actually going through and sort of combing through things to try to figure out what's real and what's not. So I have, discernment in terms of seeing how certain things, how they present certain things. And this is one of those things. This guy looks like he's a prisoner from so many different movies that I've seen. several in my mind when I saw the video footage of him, this image right here in particular, it clicked back a particular movie scene clicked back in my mind. And I don't know, it'll come to me eventually, but it was kind of nostalgic because it was like, I've seen this in a film before, right? Just like with Gaddafi. Now, remember Gaddafi when he was being carted off and I'm going to play a video about Gaddafi too, right, in a second because it's relative. When Gaddafi was being dragged through the streets and, it was allegedly the people that were doing all these things to him, but I think he had a blindfold on one point. His hands were tied. I mean, it was one of the most disgusting and despicable things. And they aired it on prime television back to back to back to back to back. And we all participated in this mass energy harnessing and martyring on live on television. Somebody who, when we look back at it now, the same way the guy who they arrested here. And here's the thing. This is not about taking up for somebody else. This is not about, like, I'm seeing so many people talking about, Trump did it. He freed the people and he this and he that. You don't give a damn about the Venezuelan people. You didn't care that they were being governed by a dictator last week. You had nothing to say about the circumstances. Half the people who are talking about this now were like, get them up out of here. I remember Black people had a major reaction to the whole immigrant thing. And again, rightfully so on a certain level, right? I get it. But it was like, Venezuela is the object of your attention right now. And tomorrow, what's it going to be? So it was like, get them out of here. And now it's like Trump's coming in and freeing them. I don't know. It's just a lot to keep track of. This is allegedly the video footage of people outside cheering when they found out that the president was arrested. Now, you remember this happened in Libya, right? No, it wasn't just Libya. It was somewhere else. Where was it? Where all of the people were happy. It was Egypt. The people were happy and cheering once the government got toppled and all of the things. And now, 1 year later, 2 years later, Libya, same thing, 3 years later, and it's just complete madness and chaos and completely destabilized. So Confessions of an Economic Hitman talks about this, how they put agent provocateurs in these places. Because mind you, Iran now, ironically, in synchronicity, it's fascinating how these things happen at the same time. Iran now, for the first time ever, well, not the first time ever, but definitely in modern times, not Iran, Iran, yeah. They've got this uptick in protesting now. Exactly at the same time when the situation is happening in Venezuela. But I understand the concept of liberation, right? And, you're living under a dictator or you're living under a particular, an unrighteous or evil ruler, right? So I get that part. And again, I haven't really sat back and done the knowledge on this dude to be able to make an intelligent perspective either way. But I'm seeing so many exposés now about how he was this horrible, ruthless, ... right? And I'm going to read some of the charges that he was accused of in just a second. But the point is, nobody was talking about him 2 weeks ago, first of all. And second of all, to these people, they might be actors, they might be real people, but the point is, nobody should be cheering. You just got invaded, bruh. Your land, your nation, not just your government just got invaded because innocent people's lives were lost. You just got invaded. What are you celebrating for? So, but again, we don't know which part of this is propaganda. Hopefully we have AI experts, those of you guys who are super entrenched and enamored and in love with the AI world. I feel like it's a responsibility for you in particular, for all of us, but for you in particular, You have specialists and experts that can go in and start looking at all of this data and looking at all of these videos and analyzing what's real and what's not, because that's where we're at this point. I'm looking at everything suspect. The video of him in the helicopter where he arrived with the 50 police officers in the background, the footage of the footage of the bombs landing, everything's in question for me at this point. I am absolutely that suspicious. And whether it's real or whether it's fake is important, but it still emphasizes the point that we need to be paying attention, because that means that they're going to do it whatever their ultimate intention is to carry out, they're going to do it either way, whether it's real or whether it's not. I don't understand if my homeland was actively getting bombed, and mind you, not bombed by like a beneficent person. No, I shouldn't say, let me change my language. I don't want the algorithm to work for me. It's one thing if the person coming through to save you or to look out for you is beneficent. Okay, I get that. That's why understanding history and knowing what's happening in other parts of the world is so critical. That's why having situational awareness, like a lot of the Latinos that live in California and that live in America in particular, I think you should know how to speak the language of the land that you live in, if for nothing else, for situational awareness. I could never go live in Africa or live in a Spanish nation and not actually know how to speak to all of the people there, right? And I get it, they have their micro communities and all of the things, but I'm just saying. So let me pause this because this is a recording and I start scrolling in it and I don't want to get caught up. But this is sort of a synopsis of everything that has happened since this infiltration has taken place. In August, a clandestine team of CIA officers slipped into Venezuela. The information they gathered was critical to Saturday's pre-dawn raid, the riskiest U.S. military operation of its kind since members of the Navy SEAL Team 6 killed Osama bin Laden in a safe house in Pakistan in 2011. So this shows you the reconnaissance. They've been planning this for some time now. It also verifies, not verifies, but when I talk about in just a second, the whole immigration thing that took place, which was all a PSYOP, a program that was downloaded and uploaded in the collective consciousness, and then realized in the collective consciousness with the Venezuelans and Haitians. Remember, they were both two of the big groups that were like really being focused in on Latinos, Mexicans, but that kind of goes without saying, is par for the course in America. But for the first time now, everybody was talking about Venezuelans. And I was like, why Venezuela in particular? Right? There's a lot of people around the world that are, trying to get into the land of milk and honey. Like, why Venezuela in particular? And then when I start seeing all these media headlines with this constant talk about gangs and they're turning them into the boogeyman now. Yeah, this is what they do. Confessions of an Economic Hitman. So federal charges, I'm going to get to the gang thing in a second. Federal charges, an indictment unsealed by a federal judge in New York City charged Mr. Maduro, his wife, Celia Flores, and 4 others with 4 counts, including narco-terrorism, conspiracy to import cocaine, and possession of machine guns. Despite the U.S. focus on cocaine trafficking, experts say Venezuela's role in that trade is modest. Mr. Maduro is being held at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center. So this just goes to show you, if they really wanted to clean up the streets and get all the pimps off the streets and get all of the PDF files off the streets and go and actually pull back the cover on the wickedness within the sex trafficking industry, they could, because they can plan an operation like this in Venezuela. Congressional Democrats, including leaders typically briefed on classified matters, said they were being kept in the dark by the Trump administration about both the military raid that seized Mr. Maduro and information about next steps. For some of the millions of Venezuelans living in Colombia, the American track deposed. So that's kind of cut off there, but I already showed the video of them cheering anyway. So let me just push play again so I can get this video to move itself up so I can read the rest of this particular article for you guys. But again, the strategy, the timing, and I guarantee you, because another screenshot that I have shows, the first thing I'm looking for, one of the first things I'm looking for is the statistics of any particular nation and the Jim Jones juice. I want to know how many people bit the government's mandated and how many people actually took it versus not. I looked Venezuela up and it said that a very high majority of the population didn't take it, right? Now, this is an article from 2 years ago. So the fact that there's not a lot of content on it, you take that for what it's worth. There's more to that story, but still, if they had been in compliance with the mandates, it would have definitely showed me that for sure. So Mr. Rubio going the focus on is talking about the oil reserves. Every time I hear myself say oil, or the way I say it, like, yeah, I got family from Texas. I can hear all the Texas in myself when I try to say oil. But Mr. Rubio focused on Sunday, as Mr. Trump did a day earlier, on the opportunities for American companies in Venezuela's oil sector. Mr. Trump made clear his desire to open up Venezuela's vast state-controlled oil reserves to American oil companies, saying, "We're going to run the country right, but U.S. intervention could prove complicated and expensive." Now, here's something that I need for us to ponder and consider. In California, new cars are going to be basically outlawed from being built, meaning the expectation by 2030 is that all new cars being produced in California will be electric, which means that those cars won't need gas, oil, not to mention all of the cars that have been produced between now and the ones that are already produced and the ones that will be produced between now, right? We're going to have and in California in particular, have a very high number of electric cars that don't need oil. And all across the country, this is something that's starting to sort of unveil itself. And we also know that that's what they want for the majority of, all of the cars outside of the old cars to be electric, so that because they can control electric cars, right? So that's how you know this has to be bigger than oil. And it's always bigger than just money. People are like, so follow the money. It's always about the money. It's always bigger than the money. We're talking about spiritual warfare at the highest levels in the highest places right now. This is about wickedness versus righteousness. This is about suffering and pain versus love and abundance. I feel like we minimize what's really happening when we do that, because we're not painting the full picture. These people are thumbing their noses up, and you guys have heard me say this 100 times since 2020. They're thumbing their nose up at God, Allah, the Netarus, the ancestors, the Most High, whichever one you prefer. I embrace them all. Jehovah, the Elohim, the universe, the Most High, the all in all, I am that I am. I'm here for all of that, right? So at this point of epic proportions, because they know the prophecies too, they are basically thumbing their nose up at the Most High and saying, yeah, we're doing it. What are you going to do about it? This is why the chosen ones who choose themselves, who are the people of God, who have the courage and conviction to stand up to what's necessary in this timeline, to walk in truth, I said truth, it's Ebonics, So, let me stay focused, because there's a thought that came to me, but it's going to be in the video in just a second, so I'll let that run itself out. So the oil and the war for oil, and the contextualizing that in a world that is planned to be strategically, electrically focused in terms of vehicles, is something that needs to be considered. Now, yes, oil can be used in different capacities for different things. It's still a viable natural resource, but when we don't need it for cars, it significantly decreases in value. So what's really going on here?
Over a country yesterday and arrested the president. Basically everything the Democrats should be doing to him. This nigga like the Oprah of war right now. You get a war, bombs, democracy, say the questions. Oh my fucking God. In a rare bout of brutal honesty, he's admitted his intention is to run Venezuela and sell their oil. Oil he claims belongs to the United States. Similarly to how Minnesota belongs to the Somalians. Or Red's bike belonged to Debo. Obviously, as an African and somebody with half a brain, I take issue with that imperialist reasoning, the same reasoning the West has against Burkina Faso for stealing their own gold back from their own mines. But that's the doctrine of imperialism, a belief in the God-given right of the West to own the world, Chico, and everything in it. There are complexities to it. One of my close friends is Venezuelan, and he grew up here undocumented and suffered greatly under Maduro. He feels incredible relief at the removal of Maduro. Although he hates Trump, he likens it to an abusive relationship. And he doesn't just want to see his abuser reign free either. Complexities because obviously Trump doesn't give a fuck about liberating the people of Venezuela. He cares much more about exploiting the people of Venezuela. That's why he bussed them to Chicago and then sent ICE in helicopters to round them up and deport them. Let me just look at Bush. What happened after they liberated the people of Iraq from the terrible dictator Saddam Hussein? 1 million people died, and they sold themselves to contracts to rebuild it, took the oil, destabilized the whole region. Gaddafi dragged through the streets like a dog and lynched under Hillary Clinton, a so-called dictator who just happened to have the largest oil reserves in Africa. He was Africa's only hope. He was going to unite the continent under a single currency. Libya was flourishing. America brought democracy, and now it's an open-air slave market. Hey, at the end of the day, thieves don't come to the rescue. Fuck going on in the world, man?
Thieves don't come to the rescue. I'm just so confused and baffled. And I'm not pro-Trump. I'm not anti-Trump. I'm not pro-Biden, I'm not pro-Kamala or none of these people. I'm pro 100% God. And anybody that's falling under the banner of Satan at any given point is dismissible in my eyes. So I don't have a dog in this fight in this political aspect. I'm gonna talk about the Charlie Kirk situation in just a second, not in full detail, but just the Candace Owens, Nicki Minaj sort of element to it. But like, I'm so tapped out from all of that shit. Like, I have not spent very minimal time looking into that case, but I know that because I follow Candace Owens on YouTube, and I follow I follow all of the sites that are keeping us abreast, the hip hop sites, the blog sites, the blah, blah, blah. So I can see what's happening in the collective consciousness, but like, I've had absolutely no interest in that story at all, haven't been moved by it at all, and have been in the presence of people that have had full blown arguments. And I'm completely removed for it. Don't care about none of it either way. I already know Satan's hand is all over that job. I can see it from a mile away. Again, ping-ponging consciousness. Now we're going back and pulling out the crates and proving whether or not Charlie Kirk is anti-black. Stevie Wonder could see that this dude don't like black people. So why are we arguing that? Why is this getting so much of our time? This is a video, YouTube. I just searched Venezuela gangs in Colorado, and I searched this. It already pulled all this stuff up because I've been following this story in my headline news episodes for some time now. So remember, just a year and a half ago, everybody was talking about the Venezuelan gangs. Everybody was talking about this large influx of Venezuelan people that just came from out of nowhere. How can we not see the tie? How can we not see the connection? This has been matriculating and building. They've been planning this and strategizing this for some time now. This is when when we talk about like having spiritual discernment, like, yeah, seeing it pop off, but then at the same time being able to address the play immediately. We're way too far in the game to still be having to prove this type of shit. Respectfully. I feel like, you know, whether you're a full-blown, full-fledged conspiracy theorist like me, I got, you know, 20 plus years in the game. I proudly wear that wear that badge. Not to be confused with the whack jobs of the conspiracy world, but to be completely linked and connected with the well-researched, well-versed, well-studied people that have been paying attention to where we're headed. There's some whack jobs too. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, we should be able to see this and discern this coming. We have to get to a point where we are energetically, let me take this down real quick. We have to get together to a point where we are energetically stable, balanced consistently, focused consistently. Not like, okay, you know, 2025 was a hell of a ride. You know, now 2026 is the reset. Now all of a sudden it's off to the races right at the beginning of the year. Ping pong consciousness reveal, you know, it's just so fascinating to me. I saw a video of Saudi Arabia. I was going to play it, but I didn't want to, you know, I didn't know how long I was going to talk because it's been a while since I've done these videos. And so I had to pick and choose what I talk about. But Saudi Arabia, and there's two suns, and you can see it on the camera full as day. You can see both of them. One is here and one is here. It's in the horizon. It's in the distance. But the guy is like, look, it's two suns. It's somewhere in Saudi Arabia. And so he's speaking English, clear English, but he's, you know, you can hear the people in the background. First of all, I don't know if this shit is real or not. I don't believe more than 50% of the content online now is not real. So I don't know if this is real or not, first and foremost. So I need to see like 5 or 6 other videos from other random people that can be verified so I know if this is even real. But then number two, it's fascinating to me that you guys can see two suns in the sky, but you can't see these big ass white lines for the past 30 years. So it's the selective, you know what I mean? It's like the group think thing, the, you know, wanting to talk about things that are sexy and exciting and that, you know, get the people going. And not the stuff that's happening right under our, right in front of our eyes and right under our nose the whole time. So spiritual discernment is critical right now. That's how you develop spiritual discernment, from going outside and looking up and saying, that looks strange. I saw a video of a sister. I'm watching this video. It was another one I was going to play, but I just don't even want that type of energy to be in our conversation, right? Again, I'm looking at this like, something is strange. A Black woman in a grocery store verbally and physically attacking a gay man. I don't know what this guy, I'm assuming that he was dressed in a sort of, you know, obviously like he was representing that his sexuality with his dress. He never showed himself. He just showed the footage of this woman, clearly off her rockers. And he's just walking and she's like, we don't want gay people to take off them clothes. I mean, but she is badgering and yelling at this man, and it's like a pit bull for like 3 minutes. And he's like, get her away from me, call the police. And the other Black lady gets involved and she's standing in between them. But then she's like a rabid, crazy, raged beast attacking this man for his sexuality. This whole scene, the whole situation made absolutely no sense. He didn't aggress towards her at all. This is Karen remixed with shea butter and cocoa butter and lashes and a long ass weave. No disrespect. I mean, that's a joke. Okay. No, nothing. I've got braids in my hair right now. Okay. I don't wear lashes, but you know, it was just a joke. Okay. She's like a rabid dog at the heels of this man. And it made me think about one of the scientists. I showed this in the Kingdom Within web series where I did a 7-hour expose on the Jim Jones juice. The end of 2022, I did a 7-hour presentation for free and put it on my website for free, where I just laid it all out. The pandemic, the masks, the Jim Jones juice, the psychological warfare, all of the things. I did it, you know what I mean? I did my part. I was on my square. Paid a heavy price for it too. But in the video, one of the ladies, and I'm not even gonna say her name because she has one of those names that the algorithm will pick up and limit this video. But she said that in Israel, mind you, when they were testing the results of the Jim Jones juice and what it was inflicting on people prior in the testing before they released it onto the public. I say released it onto the public like rabid pit bulls, right? When before they released it, when they were doing these studies, she said they pulled the rabies, rabies. They extracted rabies from dogs who were infected, and they found a way to separate the protein in order to put that into the Michael, Robert, Nancy, Adam technology, mRNA. I should have just said it. I'm so used to being censored. And I'll probably, the algorithm is probably going to pick up on that too. But she said that they extracted that protein and that they started to see the results and the behavioral changes in people who had received those inoculations, where they were starting to act like rabid dogs, which is what dogs do when they have rabies. So I'm just saying, there's levels to this, And again, two suns in the sky, but you don't see the white lines right in front of you. Marching, rallying, being focused on all the stuff that's happening around the world, and rightfully so, but not paying attention with what's going on in your own backyard. There's going to be a price to pay for that very soon. Yeah, people are definitely crazy anyway. I am definitely seeing an increase in people unraveling. And I say that in like a major way, right? In terms of what we're seeing on social media. But then I also see that in my own individual way in terms of, because I talk to a lot of people, I engage with a lot of people on my different platforms. But I'm also always like keenly observing what's happening, right? In the collective consciousness. And heaven and hell is increasing in the minds and hearts of the masses. And I don't just mean hell like the lady in the store wigging out and acting crazy. I mean hell like I can't get through the night. I'm so stressed out. I'm so worried. I'm so in fear. I have so much anxiety. I have so much depression. I don't know who I am. I have no purpose in my life. I feel lost. I feel alone. Right? I don't have any money. I don't have all of the things. We're not invested in the things that are happening right in our own backyard. It's a level of avoidance that's happening on a major level, and lack of self-awareness that when it comes to spiritual discernment was going to be critical moving forward. Everybody's talking about the oil aspect of this, and even with what's happening in Nigeria. And I wanted to talk about Nigeria, but I'm going to be honest, I haven't stopped and done enough information to it. The situation in Venezuela is like right now, and it's hot and heavy. So I wanted to touch on that. But largest oil reserves in the world are Venezuela. The largest oil producer in Africa is Nigeria. One of the largest undeveloped rare earth mineral deposits is outside of China and Greenland. So yes, this is a vie for natural resources, 100%. I'm not minimizing that or making it seem like that's not the case at all. But again, oil versus electric cars, right? And the role that artificial intelligence is going to be playing in the bigger scheme of things and in the bigger scope of things. And to be balanced, it is still to any of the so-called elites or the world leaders, it is still to their benefit to control the oil reserves, right? Let's say even if there wasn't a major global need projected and moving forward, there still is an importance to maintaining power in terms of controlling them. So I get that part, but I just also am emphasizing this point because we are cheapening the depths and the severity and the urgency and the core issue that's at hand right now that's happening. We have to look at these things through a spiritual lens. How much time and energy are you putting into this? How deeply is it affecting you? Just double checking my notes here. Let me move some of the stuff out of the studio so I can pull up some more videos. How you guys doing in the chat room? Pardon me, I haven't really read any videos. I'm just trying to stay on topic here. Y'all do know I'm taking super chats tonight. I always appreciate love and reciprocity. My Cash App information is in the description, but let me go ahead and put that up to make sure you guys have that information. And thank you to all of my beautiful people that show love. And I wanted to remind you guys again, all of my books, I still have the sale prices up for all of my books on my website from the holidays. And so I'm going to honor that. If you want to go ahead and get your copy of one of my books, my metaphysics workbooks, Change Your Mind from Lack to Abundance, Keys to Womanhood, what every young lady and woman should know. These are on sale right now for $25, the workbooks, and they're usually $35. So that is a major plug. And then again, if you Cash App your payment and send me your email information, send me your mailing address. Actually, if you put your mailing address in the Cash App note, that'll be better for me. So I can just use that, or we can just use that to ship your book. The bundle right now is on sale, I think, for $25. And then Ancient People is on sale right now for $99, if I remember correctly. So again, if you Cash App your payment to me, then you can avoid that $8 shipping fee for Ancient People, because it is a very heavy book, because it is a very big book. So, yeah, let me get back to what my next point, because I wanted to pivot from Venezuela. There is a video that I have specifically on Gaddafi, and it's been a minute since I, kind of came and chopped it up with you guys about some of the stuff that's been going on, that has been, but that's still going on in the world, because we need to be on our square. And at the same time right now, literally like clockwork, Iran is now trending for protesters being in the streets and speaking out against the dictators, right? I'll put this up. Why is this one still up? Literally like clockwork. We got protesters now in Iran. Unrest on Iran's street, right? And Netanyahu is threatening, and Trump is threatening, and these people are out, actively trying to police these places in the world. But, Albert Pike, let me just, so you can see that unfolding there, right? And then the Iranian president is responding and saying, you better be careful, because we're not going to stand for that. And it's the whole play is just playing out. And why do I say play? Because this is what's written in the strategy in the program over the last 100 years, that the last World War III, which was, bring myself back up here, Albert Pike is well known for the fact that he was emphasizing that World War III was going to be a war between the Zionists and Islam. Okay. And so part one of that started a long time ago, but the situation in the Middle East, when that cracked off in October 7th, and then we have the pivot from that and all of the things, the continuity of that, the ongoing situation with Iran and Iraq, right, sort of tiptoeing around that. But Albert Pike said that World War III was going to be a war between Zionism and Islam. Why am I hearing? Oh, I know why I hear that, because I still have this video up, so let me remove it. World War III was going to be a war between Zionism and Islam. And this is what we're seeing playing out. And the fascinating thing about it, though, that I really cannot get my people to understand, and I really need for us to understand, and when I say my people, I'm not talking to all Black people, respectfully. All skin folk and kinfolk. We're way past that point at this point. Everything is about energy and vibration now. What's your resume of consciousness, my G? What's your resume of internal focus? What's your resume of self-awareness? What that self-awareness looking like, sis? What that self-accountability looking like, queen? Right? What that meditation and fasting and being able to control your mind looking like, sis? That's the place I'm in right now. Thank you so much. I appreciate the Cash App. Thank you, Calhoun. I appreciate the Cash App. Much love, my brother. You've been having my back for a long time. That's you, right, Calhoun? Yeah, Calhoun. What that sexual discipline looking like? This is anybody that cannot control their mental, spiritual, physical, and emotional acumen right now is a liability. And I'm not saying that half-heartedly, like that's not a big deal, right? But 2020, all bets were off. Lines in the sand were drawn. When family members started telling me I couldn't visit without wearing a mask in the house, lines were being drawn in the sand. Not like I don't still love them, not like we're not still connected, but we have an understanding now. There's a possibility that wickedness could knock on our door again, and that you know what I mean? That Agent Smith shit might come up. So I got to be mindful. So the people, if you don't have control of yourself, control of your mental faculty, heaven is increasing, hell is increasing all around us. Hell is going to increase for you. If you don't have sexual discipline and sexual control, hell is going to increase for you. This is why a lot of these chicks, from the Nicki Minaj's to the Cardi B's, all these female rappers that are not just the female rappers, but a lot of the women in Hollywood that are promoting this super promiscuous, yes, I'm married, but me and my husband have a open relationship and we are swingers and all the things, right? And then 2 years later, you're in court arguing over who has control and who cheated first. Not who has control, who's going to pay alimony and what house is getting sold and who cheated first. And the headlines are trending about this jump off and that jump off. And yeah, it turns out it does matter who you let sleep next to you. It does matter who you swap saliva and DNA with and semen with. It does matter. Even if you use a condom, you're still exchanging DNA. And in the era post mRNA technology, I'm just saying, if you don't have sexual discipline right now, I'm saying that for men and women. Usually men think no, trust me, these chicks is out here off the hook. That's why I'm emphasizing it for men. These females are out here off the hook on demon time, acknowledging it. Proud to be a slut. You know what I mean? This slut shaming consciousness and embracing the concept of being a slut. It's a fascinating thing to me. So, you know what? I kept turning the volume down. I have my old phone here that the music is playing on, and then I have my phone, and I'm thinking I'm turning the volume down on my phone, and I've been doing anyway. So yeah. Not being able to control your mind. I saw so many people like unraveling with that when that situation in the Middle East was happening. Among many others. That's just one example. Should I show this Gaddafi video? No, we've already been here for 1 hour and 20 minutes. I think I've made the point about that. Let me come back to my screenshots. Oh, wait, I hit the wrong button. Oh, by the way, since it came up, I wasn't planning on showing this, but it's in the file that I am actually currently looking through. So let me just go ahead and promote this one time for the one time. This is the final cover for the paperback version of Ancient People. And I remixed it with this beautiful turquoise, very royal and regal color, which actually is represented in several different cultures within the book. Hawaii's Last Monarchy in particular, turquoise is a very important staple in the royal families of a lot of different ancient cultures and civilizations, Kemet being one of them, obviously, the ancient monarchies of ancient Polynesia. And then I will say, ancient Japan and China, they use jade. Jade is a very, you know what I mean? So the color was an intentional thought process to honor that, but then also to make it beautiful and fly and all of the things. And so this is the final version. I'm going to show it to you guys in just a couple of days so you can see what it actually looks like without the spiral spine. And this book is still available on my site as well at that sale price. You can get more information on my website. Where is the video, or in the link in the description? Where is the video that I just uploaded? No, that's not it. Or was it an image? Let's see. Oh, I didn't upload it because I got sidetracked. Okay, so let me get back on track here. I didn't even show the map of Venezuela. Let me show it just for context. And I used to do this when I would be doing these exposés on my on Headline News. I would always pull up a map of the area because a lot of times we're talking about places in the world that we don't really even have proper context and proximity in terms of where it is, right? And so, and I don't say that I'm not pointing a finger. I'm saying us, like we're so inundated in this digital realm now that I grew up with maps. So to me, I want to be able to know where it is in the world that I'm actually talking about. And so Venezuela being right here at the top of South America and on the, the cusp of Colombia, Cartagena, Barbados. Well, Barbados is an island, but Panama, this whole connection right here. A lot of people don't even know you can drive from South America to North America. You can. When I found that out, I was like, oh, okay, that gave me a different vantage point. Being able to move around if we need to by car, by train, etc. But so here's where Venezuela is, right? And you can see the proximity to the islands here, Cuba, Jamaica. You can see Mexico there. So I wanted to show you guys that map just so that we can get a bird's eye view of where this place is actually located within the world. I thought I had pulled up, well, I showed the Will Smith image. This is, I'm shifting gears now because I want to, because that was the intention from the whole time. But Zaza, I love you. I love your never-ending glory. Wait, you are so powerful, Zaza. I love your never-ending glory. I always seen you as one of the ancient ones. Well, my first thought, my ego picked that up when you first said it, and I was like, the ancient ones, you trying to say I'm old? That's what happened in my mind, right? But I know that's not what you're saying. But yeah, I received that. I do think I have an ancient, not I think, I know I have a very ancient soul. And I have lived some masterful, expansive experiences in different lifetimes on this planet. I know that for sure. And so that's why Hatshepsut, who's one of the features in my book, the pharaoh, the queen pharaoh Hatshepsut, that's why she resonates with me so much, because I feel like I've operated on that level, not just in the female capacity, but just in different lifetimes. I have an ancient soul with a big agenda for this lifetime. So thank you very much for saying that. What did I just pull up? This, I think it was about Stefan Diggs. So not to shift from something super important and super deep and heavy to something super surface level and celebrity based, because that's what this feels like. But I'm doing this again. I was supposed to start with the Will Smith thing and then talk about Diddy in 2025 and the role that he played, especially the Scorpio role, what a Scorpio looks like that's operating in their lower nature. That's being completely ruled and controlled in their lower nature. And that scorpionic energy, right? Or that sexual energy, taking it beyond the astronomy of it. And just, again, that sexual energy, and how from Diddy to Epstein to Smokey Robinson to Dr. Dre to like all of the Weinstein, all of the conversation and focus is on how the lower nature and sexuality is playing out in the collective consciousness. This is a big part of the war that is going to have to be figured out and have to be won. And I shouldn't even have to be like emphasizing this so much at this point in my career, but just with Black people. But I always have to emphasize it because We still haven't made the correlation with the abortion statistics and the STDs and the single parent households. I say that tongue in cheek. We haven't made the correlation. The single parent households, the women who end up doing it on their own, the men who end up doing it alone, the men who end up in the court system fighting the court system because he done knocked up some Jezebel or some, woman who is vindictive and now is trying to use the child against him. Like, yeah, this is where sexual discipline comes into play. Why aren't we talking about it more? But our music, again, I think I was making a point about the female rappers and maybe I got sidetracked and I don't know if I said if I made it concrete or not. But all of these female rappers that are magnifying this low vibrational lust-based energy, not to be confused with high vibration, high energy, love-based, sacred sexual energy. Those are not the same thing. Higher nature, higher self expressing itself, lower nature expressing itself. It's the same thing in every regard, right? But so you have all of these females that are magnifying this strip club, low vibration, sex-based energy. And then you got a Cardi B that's at home on Christmas by herself getting attacked by her alleged fans because her baby daddy, who she got pregnant by while she was still married, is on somewhere else in the world having children, having to take care of his other children. Now, the fact that I even know that, I know it because I'm trying to stay tapped in, but also the fact that you guys to whom it may concern are so invested in that shit. You're in Cardi B's DMs or in her comments, calling her a broke single, or not a broke, she's not broke, but all of the things. You guys know what comes with this. It's fascinating to me because I am not invested in any of these people's lives like that. People would get mad at me when I would talk about in a whatever the capacity was, their favorite celebrity. Like, bruh, I did the video and once I turned off the camera off, I didn't think about that shit again. I'm not tuned in and tapped into these people like that. They're just as important to me as you. And I even say that tongue in cheek because you guys are important to me. And they're important to me too. Especially if, they have the potential to serve something righteous. But I'm just saying. So Stefon Diggs, Freudian slip. Stefon Diggs, the New England Patriots wide receiver, is facing felony strangulation and misdemeanor assault charges for allegedly attacking his personal chef during a financial dispute in early 2025, an incident he and his legal team vehemently deny, calling the claims unsubstantiated and a result of unresolved pay issues. The alleged incident occurred at his Massachusetts home with the chef claiming Diggs smacked and choked her after discussing money owed, leading to police involvement in upcoming court dates, including an arraignment on January 2026, just before the AFC Championship. Now, again, I'm not highly invested in any of this. But I also know that Cardi B is in the middle of a ritual. And if you look at the symbolism in her latest album cover, and I've loved the rollout. She's funny, she's charming, she's all of the things, but she's also very dangerous in terms of the representation. That's just a fact. I don't know why we are so scared to say that as a culture. Why are women so scared to say that shit, especially Black women? You don't see the impact this is having on our daughters in our middle schools and in our high schools? So being that she is still maintaining her position within that world and doing what she's supposed to do. And now here you have this guy facing a case. We just talked about Will Smith at the beginning, facing a case. This is what they're going to do all of 2026. They're going to take these different celebrities and line them up and use their lower nature against them. This is how Satan works. This is how the Agent Smith energy, the harnessing of energy works. They use your lower nature against you. So again, this is a terrible time to not have sexual discipline and control, especially if you're a man. Especially if you haven't gotten the shot. You know what I mean? You can't just be out here giving your loving to anybody and thinking that there's, you know what I mean? Or not thinking. There's potential side effects. Women too, same thing. Shit ain't sweet out here anymore. You should know that though if you have spiritual discernment. You should know that if you clock in the devil. And you don't have to clock the devil like I clock the devil. In multiple ways, I do actually. But it doesn't have to be about research or knowing all of these things. It can be about controlling the most important thing, that is about controlling your lower nature, not just sexual energy or sexual discipline. Beating yourself up in your mind, constantly ridiculing yourself, going out into the world and expecting people to hurt you or do, that trust no one shit. That's anti-God. Trust no one is anti-God. You know what I mean? And I'm saying that tongue in cheek because I grew up in the hood. I understand the politics of it, the reality of it, right? But if you don't trust anyone, then who should trust you? Now you're in a circle of lack of trust. What's really happening here? I don't know. There's no forward momentum in that regard. Don't we all want to be trustworthy? I'm just saying. So the higher self and lower nature is playing itself out on all these different ways. We keep talking about genetically modified food. We keep talking about the fluoridated water. We're talking about 1,000 different reasons of why we have proof that these people are trying to inflict harm on us. That means fasting is prescribed. That means farming is prescribed. That means doing a self-check with your internal body, paying attention to the signs of your body, moving physically is mandatory right now. How are you functioning in 2026 and you're not consistently doing physical, physical output to transmute all of this fuckery we have to deal with? The mental, spiritual, emotional warfare. It's a lot to navigate. We have to be physically moving and viable and transmuting that energy through the physical body, or else it gets stuck. And then you at a hospital and they telling you that you got cancer or a tumor. This is why you can only pay attention to so much of what's happening in the world, because that shit will get stuck in your body. And now you got a disease, or dare I say heart disease, which is most prominent in the Black community, which is not by chance. We die from heart disease. You know what I mean? Because the heart is the power source of the whole entire body. We've been saying it's the brain for the longest, and the brain is one of them. But in terms of measurement, in terms of actually qualifying it and quantifying it, the heart is where all of the real magic is happening. That's where the real shit is going down. Here, right here. Left side, right side, left side. Right here. This is where all the real shit's going down. This is where all the power is, right here. And I'm pointing to the physical body because there's the heart that pumps, but then there's also the chakra system right here, right? There's also the energetic connection in the chakra system, right? When you feel anxiety, where you feel it? In your chest. When you feel love, where do you feel it? In your chest. When you feel stress and strain, where do you feel it? In your chest. When you feel inspiration, I don't know about you guys, when I'm doing something that I love, when I feel passionate about my work and my creativity, my shit flutters. I still am in touch with my childlike nature where my heart still flutters. I still get excited and invigorated and enthusiastic about life. The beach is fascinating to me every time I go. Every time. So I still have the wonderment, the beauty of the wonderment, right? So I talked about Stephon Diggs. Here you have Cardi B, you have Candace Owens, right? Let me pull up a couple of those videos real quick. Where did I save? I'm trying to think, hold on. Give me just a second. Did I put it in a different folder? It's my downloads. I had a couple of more videos, you guys, but I might be getting my hairs crossed here. I can't remember exactly where I saved them. And okay, so I had a video of Candace. Damn, I had a really good video. Okay, the Candace Owens video is like 3.5 minutes, and I was like, nah, that's too long. So we'll scratch that. I can just talk about that. And I had a video of Kai Cenat, where he's talking about his mental health. It was just like a minute, so you guys have probably all seen that. So I can talk about that. Candace Owens, and then it was the Nicki Minaj video. Where did that down? Oh, I didn't download it. That's what it is. I left it in the okay, so I had a short, like 2-minute video of Nicki Minaj walking across the stage and looking like a plastic version of a human being, walking across the stage and having this really awkward experience with Erica Kirk, who is now strangely, but not strange to me at all, on the tongues of every living American now. Everybody's talking about this chick, which again is another reflection that it's a program, because the Matrix is not going to have everybody talking about something that it is not in control of, that's not a part of the program. I'm just talking about underground consciousness, or, you know, those of us that are in the know. I'm talking about those in the know, those not in the know, collective consciousness, white, black, you know, Latino, Mexican, you know, African, etc. Like, when everybody's talking about it, that's a clue. But again, when I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, this was maybe like a week ago actually, and we were talking about the Charlie Kirk, and we were talking about Charlie Kirk and then Erica Kirk, and I was just like, I'm so tapped out of all of that. Like, I haven't been paying attention to any of that. So the cancel Nicki Minaj bandwagon, as a result of her sitting there like a deer in headlights and showing no political acumen. She said nothing powerful. There was nothing powerful in any of that. But it's the same thing when Cardi B was interviewing, when Megan went and rapped and shook her ass in front of a crowd in Georgia. I don't know how black women in Georgia didn't turn up on that shit at a political event. And this black woman is standing up, shaking her ass and twerking in front of 60, 70, 80-year-old white men, all men, I'm just saying. And we said and did nothing. Well, I did. I don't know what happened in Georgia. Was there any backlash? I don't know. Did they protest? They had Planned Parenthood had their vans outside as well, offering free abortion pills. So it kind of makes sense that they would have Megan the rapper there shaking her ass and attracting her listeners and her followers that would show up in a Planned Parenthood van and need a pill for an abortion. And I'm not taking anything away from women's rights to choose and all of that. Don't divert the attention. Don't subvert my intention, because you don't want to take accountability of our goal and responsibility as Black women and how we carry ourselves and how our daughters are looking up to us, especially in the world of social media. So Cardi sitting down with Joe Biden and the Kamala Megan connection, and now the Nicki and the Erica Kirk, and you couldn't find one artist that's not a concubine. You couldn't find one female rapper, one representative of the female race in America that you could come and sit down with, whose last name isn't Minaj, which is a sexual posture. That's a joke. But I'm just saying, it's real too. So this is very intentional. Again, this is the aspect of it's psychological warfare, yes, but this is also like constantly keeping you locked in your lower nature. Because you showed up for a political rally and now you got a hard on because there was a rapper on stage shaking her ass. That's how it works. You know what I mean? And then you can go outside and get an abortion pill so you can go get you a jump off. Go to Magic City and turn up for a minute and then go get you a quick jump off and then make sure that she handles the business or get the morning after pill. I'm just saying. I'm going to tap in with you guys in the chat room. If you want to ask me a particular question, super chats are welcome and encouraged, and I will give precedence to your comments. Thank you so much for the Cash App. I appreciate the love, and thank you for you guys that reciprocate and purchase my books and all of the good things. So, okay, so let me come to my notes now since I have exhausted my videos. I did have a few others, but that's okay. So there's this one sister online. This is going back to the Venezuela thing real quick. Where we at on time? 1:40. We're at 1:40. Okay. Try not to go over 2 hours. There's this one sister online who is doing this video talking about the Venezuela situation, right? She's like, I've been telling you this. I've been saying this for so long. I've been saying this for so long, right? And she's in her bag for a second. I'm like, yeah, I'm with you, sis. Like you know what I mean? She's saying all the right things. And then she says, they're getting ready to invade the U.S. And it's going to start in California, and then it's going to dot. And immediately Spirit was like, what? Even if you believe that's true, even if all of the signs are, you know what I mean, kind of like unfolding in that capacity. This is why I say we don't understand the power of words. Consciousness creates reality. So the illusion can become real. I don't know how much of this, the warfare, it's like, you talk about nuclear weapons and whatnot, like we're in an era of digital technology. We found out a lot of the Syrian war wasn't real. We found out a lot of the Ukrainian war wasn't real. They were literally using CGI and artificial intelligence to project certain things. I think a lot of what happened in the Middle East that started on October 7th, a lot of that shit was CGI. I don't believe that story, what they say happened from the very beginning with the paragliders to where we are now. I don't believe none of it. These are universal liars. I'm trying to understand how any of y'all still trust the government, to be honest. But hey, like I said before, I'm emphatic about this. I'm passionate about this because I need for the thinkers amongst us, the sovereign-minded ones amongst us, the ones who are paying attention but are also like on our spiritual square. Yeah, I need us to be sitting up a little bit straighter and paying a little bit more attention right now. Yes, you. You don't have to be in my personal life or part of my personal experience for me to need and be invested in you, raising your vibration and your light consciousness, because Satan is on 10 or 1,000. So, well, I think did I make my point about Cardi B and the whole, and just to remind you guys, and I don't even know if I said this already yet, all of the images of the pregnant women twerking, right? I need y'all to stop that shit. There is a video of Cardi B, and it was on like Hollywood Extra or something like that, one of these big, gossip sites. There's a video of her pregnant, and she's got to be like 7 or 8 months pregnant, and she is twerking and twerking hard, all up against the wall, all of the things, right? She could have been at the strip club, right next to a gay stripper who has on a thong. So I'm watching a pregnant woman shaking her ass and induce this sexual energy while she's very pregnant, right next to a gay man who I can see all of his ass, who is evoking a whole different type of, you see the extreme polarities that's happening here, and it's on Hollywood Reporter. So this is something that like everybody can see. And this is in the mainframe now. This is normalized now. So Cardi B and Nicki Minaj are both playing different roles in the bigger scheme of things, just like Beyonce's playing her role in the background and then in the forefront and then in the background and then in the forefront, just like Jay-Z's playing his role in the background, then in the forefront, just like 50 Cent is playing his role. I don't want us to get, and I'm saying this tongue in cheek because the way that people worship celebrities is probably a waste of my breath. So actually, I'm not even going to say that. Do what you want to do. That's where I'm at with it right now. Kai Cenat did he received an award, and on the stage, he was talking about mental health and how he's been struggling with his mental health, and he wanted to just kind of put it out there for anybody struggling with it, right? And so I looked it up. His net worth is somewhere between 14 and 25 million. We've talked about, and I've reported when he does the mafia things and, bigging him up for these different major moves that he made. And he was, not taking certain money and, taking certain money. He's like been moving in a certain strategic way. And so we've been celebrating this young man, as we should, for moving up the ranks, for, again, being as young as he is and all of the things, right? And the upward mobility in terms of finances with the streaming world. It's a beautiful thing, right? But then you have this young brother coming forward and letting you know that he's been struggling. quietly in the background. So it turns out that could be an issue with having a camera on in your house for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He said that he would struggle with sleeping at night. He always felt anxiety when the camera was on. No shit, Sherlock. He always felt anxiety. He's got thousands and tens of thousands of random people just watching him sleep, and it was bothering him. Really? Is that? And I'm being facetious, right? Because I'm happy that he's in his. I'm rooting for him. But this is you put 2 and 2 into the calculator. This is what you're going to get out. So when we talk about the suicide rates of young men, the depression, all of the thing, like, yeah, the gaming world comes with something. The young men's access to chat GPT and artificial intelligence and a whole new world of consciousness that is not appropriate for a 10 or 14-year-old. And our children being able to watch Demon Time on Instagram and Cardi B being a household name. There's ramifications for that shit. It's not safe for your mental well-being, for your spiritual well-being, for your emotional well-being to have a camera up in your house in all of the different rooms in your house and you being broadcast live in front of the world for 24/7. I don't care how much money you get paid. So I think now when we talk about mental health, it's kind of like it's gotten so watered down. It doesn't really have a lot of impact, right? A lot of gumption to it, right? And so somebody said maybe he's struggling with that trash content he's been putting out and coming into that realization. I mean, I feel like that's what the whole streaming world is. It's content. It's content that it's just you showcasing your life. It's reality TV on steroids with no editing, right? And then you got random people that might be haters or that might be energy vampires, or that might be alone and stressed out, or they just want to get attention so they can send you a $5 silly hat, or, change the nature of your face. So like all of that. It turns out there's mental and emotional ramifications for these things. Wait until the dolls, the life-size dolls that feel like real human skin, and you can activate her with artificial intelligence and have a conversation with her through your meta glasses. Wait till that goes live. And Elon Musk said Neuralink would be live in 2026. And I'm telling y'all, everybody thinks you have the option. Everybody thinks it's something that you got to go and sign up for it. I think the technology has already been installed, just has to be activated. But I digress because I'm not going to get into, Candace Owens, and the video that I was going to play showed her basically saying he was my best friend. And, she's been on this whole kick ever since he transitioned and what happened, in front of the world, which I think that whole entire thing was just another program. And you can look at the outcome of you look at the outcome to be able to tell what part of which program it's a part of, which tent of umbrella it falls under. But I knew when Candace Owens left, when she had that situation with the Daily Wire and she got fired and she was on that whole kick of exposing, which was a good thing. And she got fired and then she disappeared for a minute, took some time off, and then she came back and represented herself as a devout Catholic. I was like, okay, she just got a new, there's just a new handler. Respectfully, because there's nothing righteous about the Catholic Church. There's righteous people that are within the Catholic Church for sure. I went to a Catholic school, St. Elizabeth in Oakland, for 2 years, right? Because I graduated in 7th grade or in 8th grade. But I went to St. Elizabeth, so I went to the Mass. We did the body of the Son and the Holy Spirit. We did all of that. We took the bread and we thought it was so cool, and the wine and all of the things. But it's not a righteous institution at all. And it's one thing to be raised as a Catholic. I'd be like, oh, okay, I get it. It is what it is. But like, you just transitioned. You signed up for this shit in 2025? Oh, wow. Okay, so you won't talk about all of the money that the Catholic Church is constantly putting out for proving that they're not a righteous organization. They're constantly paying off victims' children who were violated. And hundreds of priests just floating off into the wind. And you won't address that. But you're knee deep in what's happening in France and with the chick over there, which you should be. I'm glad you are. You knee deep in the situation in the Middle East, which you should be. I'm glad you are. You knee deep in the situation with Charlie Kirk. Me, I'm not that interested in that whole story, but I see the role that she's played in terms of the good cop aspect of all of this. I had a screenshot from David Icke. If I can find it, I think I saved it. I'm going to pull it up because he addresses this. But so now I can see who's funding, what the role is, what the position is that she's playing as a Black woman. And here you have her, and then you have Nicki Minaj steering people in a certain direction. Not that it matters for you to be a Republican or a Democrat. It matters that you still believe in the system. It doesn't matter if you're pro-Trump or if you're pro-Biden or you're pro-Kamala. It matters that you actually still believe in democracy. In 2026, with all of the data, all of the verification, all of the validation, all of the things, you still believe in this government in 2026. That's what matters. We've had a lot of crazy weather, particularly in the Pacific Northwest, that has been gone unreported in Washington and Oregon. This was like, I haven't looked into it now, but like in December, for a very large portion of December, there were major floods going down in different parts of the Pacific Northwest that were not being covered by mainstream media. That tells me something when it's not being covered by mainstream media. We have storms that it's been raining in LA consistently for the past like 5 days. I think it's going to rain until Tuesday, and then we'll get a break. But I watched them build these storms. I've been watching them build storms for 20 years now. It's 2026. I'm just saying. It's on my list here. I wrote a list of things. Going back to that chick, though, not the chick, the sister, who was like, they're getting ready to invade America. I beg your pardon. Even if you think that's true, you better keep that shit in your chest. You better lock that close to your heart. I would never say that. I'll tell you what they're planning. I'll tell you what the strategy is, but I'm never, ever, in my words, going to bring that into fruition or into realization with my words. I'm never going to accept that. I'm never going to embrace that. So I'm saying that because we need to be careful with our words. She was like, we're next. I was like, no, you next. I don't know where you are in the world. I'm not even finna look into it. She's in America, obviously, but I don't know what part of America you're in. I ain't even finna look into it that deep because I don't even, you know what I mean? The fact that I even start paying attention to you in the quantum realm means now you become a part of my reality. So no, I'm gonna leave you right where you stand. We're next. No, you're next. And I'm saying that tongue in cheek because none of us should be saying that. Stop saying that shit. Stop saying we all gonna end up in FEMA camps. They might got a FEMA bed. They don't have one with my name on it. My son won't be participating. A lot of these celebrities are getting ready to be unraveled the way Kai Cenat is not unraveling, but I put that next to his name. Mass celebrities unraveling. Like this is about to be a recurring element and theme. I wrote down the Congo, Sudan, Jamaica, and Haiti. And I think I wrote that down. I can't exactly remember. I think it was like the Venezuela connection, but don't quote me on that. The Trump situation with Epstein. Okay, so let me just highlight this because now everybody thinks that everything that's happening in American politics and in this country is so that Donald Trump can avoid the Epstein files being fully released, or so the Epstein files will never be fully released, or like it's this staple in our lexicon right now which is exactly the program, because number one, they want to keep sexual deviancy at the top of your consciousness. They want to keep the conversation about sexual deviancy ongoing. So every time you talk about keeping that frequency and vibration alive, however we're doing it, however we're to expose with good intention, with good heart, all of the things, still in the mainframe of consciousness, what are we talking about? Sexual deviancy. I'm watching HBO Max. I'm rewatching Boardwalk Empire right now, which is a superb show, by the way. But they got this commercial that keeps coming on. These gay skaters, ice skaters. So now the commercial comes on and they're like kissing and having a love scene in the commercial. I have control over my mind. I can navigate. You know what I mean? You can't program me, but to a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old or a 16-year-old. And then the people will be listening and saying, well, that's the parents' fault. So just, you know what I mean? Then that just lets me know who I'm talking to. Because I have a son, but I would never say that's the parents' fault. I've been here consistently riding for your children, your daughters. Imagine if we all took that position, but then we'll ride for the Palestinian children, and rightfully so. I'm just saying. It's important when it comes to globally the dysfunction and chaos and trauma that other people are dealing with. But when it comes to the ongoing psychological, mental, spiritual, emotional, physical abuse that's being inflicted upon us, we can't stop for 10 seconds and focus on our daughters and tell these hoes to step down. How about we cancel concubine culture? Sometimes when I say these things now, it's just like I feel weird about it, you know? Because I know that, you know what I mean? I have enough proof and data from the last 15 years of my online career to know that this is not an important topic for Black people in America. That's a fact. We still uplift pimps. I talked about the fires in LA. I was going to mention the brother Joshua with the car accident, the boxer. But you know, that's one of those things that just is what it is, right? There may be more to come out about that, but I'm not going to get into that. I just want to make sure I've made all of my points in terms of the news story so I can get to the final point that I want to make. And then I'm going to let you beautiful people go on this Sunday evening. It's 6:55 Pacific Standard Time right now. And again, just a reminder, I am accepting super chats. I am accepting cash apps. And I have all of my books on sale right now on my website. The link is in the description. And if you order via Cash App, I will send the book to you and save on shipping. And if you order by Cash App, just put your shipping address in the subject and I will ship it directly to you there. And yeah, so 2026 now, right? We're starting the year off with war. We're starting the year off in the end of December. In December, a lot of people got sick in LA. We had the radiation fog here. I don't know if you guys heard about that, the alleged. When you look at the reason why they call it the radiation fog, it doesn't have anything to do with radiation. So this is a psychological program. But we had the radiation fog, and I was in it a couple of times that night. I don't move around a lot at night, but I experienced that night, and I know what real fog looks like. I'm born and raised in California, so I know what fog, California Pacific Coast fog, is supposed to look and feel like. That shit was not fog, so there's that. And then you had the continuity of the rain, like I said, and then you got all these people now getting sick, and you're saying, oh, you know, the flu and the that and the this and the this and the this and the that. So the weather anomalies are running parallel with people all over the place just getting sick. I think that was a part of the original pandemic in 2020 as well. I think they used the white lines in the sky as part of the rollout to implement. That was a multi-staged, multi-tiered biological, you know, WARFARE attack. And the lines in the sky were one way, the masks were another way. Those nozzle tests that I never took, or absolutely one of the tentacles of the Trojan horse, for sure. So now, coming back to my purpose, because I talked about everything that I specifically want to talk about. So let me just highlight these last points here, because now I want to talk about the spiritual warfare aspect of this and bring this down beyond just all this other stuff and into emphasizing you. And I also want to, I've been having issues with my email for the last couple of weeks. I thought I fixed it, but it was fixed. Part of it was fixed. Another part of it wasn't. So for like a week now, I've been trying to get that straight because I changed my email provider. So if you've tried to reach me via email and it bounced back, if you connected to me on Instagram or Facebook, just send me a message and hopefully I'll have that fixed tomorrow. And then you'll be able to, contact me regularly, info@ZaZaAli.com. And that's particularly if anybody purchased the book via Cash App, so you can engage with me and make sure that I have your information for shipping correct. So now in 2026, where the NPCs are rising, where Satan is on 1,000, where we're going from one war to another war, where we're being constantly inundated with the chaos. And I mean, everybody in the world is talking about how horrible it is in America right now. Everybody in the world, including people in the world, are talking about how much we, you know what I mean? Like, and I get it because it's true and it's relative. But again, there is a lot of negative energy being projected in our direction, right? And you can say, "Oh, it's not my direction; it's Trump." Bear with me here, because there is specific ones among us, the chosen ones, who choose themselves, which means the people who are doing the work to be able to navigate this environment, right, in these circumstances. But heart-centered living is going to be and is 100%, when we talk about spiritual warfare and the armor of God or source or the Most High, one of the ways to facilitate and to double down on the armor of God, heart-centered living. That means it's going to be difficult for you if you hate your job to maintain a heart-based consistency. It's going to be difficult for you if you have children out in the world that for whatever reason are estranged, or that you have neglected and abandoned, or whatever the dynamics of those relationships are, or you have parents that you have abandoned and neglected, etc., right? Still got open wounds from past relationships, from people that you harmed or from people that harmed you, right? All of the things, the fear, the inner child been on my head for the last 2 years. My inner child, little Zaza. You know what I mean? I'm really realizing in these last 2 years how much shit little me had to deal with to become who I am. How many people mishandled me, neglected me, abandoned me, didn't take proper care of me, all of the things. I'm having to go back and revisit that and re-parent and re-adult myself. Society, I told you can't talk shit to me in my comments unless you send me a Cash App. And I know you want my attention. So if you really want my attention, send me $20 and then I'll address you. I'm sitting here talking about the knowledge of God and you calling me Delilah. Satan is in the building. I told you guys, Agent Smith is crafty and cunning. Ancient People, this book is normally retails for $144. It's on my site right now for $99, if that's the one you're asking about. And if you send a Cash App, you can get free shipping. Just send me your mailing address in the subject. Yeah, people, they be trying to play with me. You guys, you want to see Daenerys Targaryen? It's okay. I'm with the shit. You know? And I don't just mean that person. I mean, I'm looking at the condition of the mindset of the masses, and the shit is scary to me. That on the time where we're simultaneously talking about war and watching bombs being dropped, that we're also, I have to incorporate celebrity culture, because I know that's one of the main places that the devil is keeping you locked in and keeping you distracted and keeping you focused on some shit that has nothing to do with you. So heart-centered living. And yes, I can be in Daenerys Targaryen mode and still be heart-centered. You know, if you're a mother, you understand that topic clearly. You know what I mean? There is no building I would not topple or crumble on behalf of my son. Please believe that. Or the people that I love, or my husband when he comes. You know what I mean? So I want the heart-centered aspect. You need to work on the aspects of yourself that you don't control, and the different ways that manifests itself through your diet, through your eating. Right? We in the ninth inning now. We shouldn't still be having conversations about fast food. You know what I mean? Like the fact that people still eat at McDonald's is fascinating, but these people are dangerous. This is why I need to emphasize this point. Do you know your purpose? This is the first thing I wrote down on my. This was my first topic that I wanted to talk about for headline news. Do you know your purpose? That's the first thing I wrote down, and then I wrote down fasting, and then I made my list of the different topics, actual news. But the first thing I wrote on my notes for our conversation today is, do you know your purpose? Because if you don't know your purpose, that's where the real power is at. That's where the real magic is at, especially in this timeline. You supposed to be out here, you know, a chemistry magnet or major or a great mind among us, and they got you locked in a strip club in Atlanta. Because you know, and I'm being facetious. I don't even know why that came. Why did that come to my head? I had another thought about Atlanta. Oh, I watched a video today. This is why Atlanta came up. I watched a video today and I sent it to one of my homegirls, where the guy was talking about how women in Atlanta they're not even looking at men. They expect and think that all men are either bi or gay, right? Talking about Black women. But then he goes on to say, he said it, or it was an Anton Daniels, like a short clip. Somehow the conversation of hygiene came up. And it was the guy who made the video, he was talking about how a lot of the women in Atlanta have this real bad smell, right? And in my mind, I'm thinking, this, you know, like, he one of those, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm barely listening to you now, but I'm still listening because I'm trying to see where you go with this. But he's like, a lot of these women have bad hygiene and they have a bad smell, right? So I'm disregarding it as he says it, but then I'm also looking at the comments. And in the comments, there's a lot of people that are saying it's a thing in Atlanta where there is a big hygiene issue with some of these females. I don't know if I'm not going to say a lot of females, but there was a lot of comments, like the bacterial vaginosis, the promiscuous element, the diet, which is critical. Which when I lived in Atlanta, because I'm coming from California, it's very health conscious out here. Land of the NPC, sure, but they're going to eat a salad. You know what I mean? The NPCs out here is driving Teslas and eating salads and got bodies like, you know what I'm saying? The health is a serious thing out here, right? So if I can get a good kale, not kale, I don't eat kale salad, it's not really, but it's just a different thing. Then I go to Atlanta and I see Black women with these huge ankles and, you know what I mean? Like one cheeseburger away, like that, all the things. You don't only have to go to Atlanta to see that. We got, you go to Compton, you're going to see some of that shit here too. You go to Oakland, you're going to see some of that there too. Detroit, all of that. You go to any Walmart across the country, it will be there. But I'm just saying, so the point was the diet. And when he said that, I thought Waffle House, I thought fish and grits. I thought, you know what I mean? Like the staple diet in the dirty South, in the Bible Belt, which ironically is the Bible Belt. So you would think the eating would be the healthiest in this environment, but it's actually the worst, which kind of emphasizes the impact, whether the religion is working or not, respectfully. No, I'm not a religious person, so I feel confident in saying that. I respect all the scriptures though. So, but the diet aspect, all the butter, all the margarine, all the salt, white salt, white sugar, white bread, y'all still eating white. You know what I mean? We kind of knew that. You learn that in the Nation of Islam. But no, that ain't just the nation. That's like all Black consciousness. Like first rule of thumb, stay away from everything white. White salt, white sugar, white flour, white bread, and white women. It's a rule of thumb. I'm saying that to you as a biracial woman who is the product of a white woman. I support this message. Not because I'm anti-white women or because I'm anti-interracial relationships. Obviously, I'm here, right? But I know what I know. You know what I mean? And Karens are out of control. So we have to put them in their proper perspective. For me, I've never actually even dated. I went on one date with a white dude, and it wasn't even a real date. It was, and I ain't even trying to like justify nothing. I'm just telling you because this is what came to mind. Because I don't really care about, I'm so past what people think of me at this point. But yeah, I went on one date and I was like 20 and he worked in the same building. And so we went right downstairs and I was just like, this is not it. It was no connection. It was no sparks. It was no nothing. He was a fine white dude too, in terms of how he looked. White fine, of course. But yeah, so I've never actually dated outside of my race. Except that one little time, which is a footnote in the history of ZaZaAli. And I'm saying all of that to say, love who you love. I'm not like that. Like it's so much clown shit and fuckery in relationships between the Black male-female dichotomy. Like I can't even spend my voice trying to reprimand somebody who's found love with a Chinese or a white or a other religion, other type person. Like, okay, cool. Just make sure you come back and share the vittles with the culture. That'd be the real issue. You never come back and share the vittles with the culture. That shit goes to them. And my dad wasn't into white women. Every woman I ever saw him with was Black. My mom was just happened to be, you know what I mean? The universe brought them together because she's very important in terms of who I turned out to be, obviously. But yeah, you know what I mean? She played a position in terms of bringing me here, and then I was totally socialized and brought up in the Black world. But that was important for me in terms of my life's work and in terms of my perspective in the world to be able to see both sides. Yeah, I see you and I see you. And it's bullshit on both sides. But where is God? That's what I'm trying to figure out at this point, So how did I get onto all of that? I was talking about relationships. I mean, I'm obviously team Black love all day, but I'm team high vibration Black love. I'm team, you know what I mean? Mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally tapped in Black man, Black woman, Black love. I'm not just hashtag Black love, because some of you guys are getting together and reproducing yourselves, and I think it needs to stop. It's a joke, but it's serious too, And that sounds so horrible, and I know it does. But I think in this era where darkness and ignorance is so prevalent in the collective consciousness, I think you guys can understand what I'm trying to say. I'm team high vibration. You've done the work. I've done the work. You surrender to me. I surrender to you. You submit to me. The truth in me. I submit to the truth in you. God is the sort of, standard and supplement and foundation of the union. I'm an intellectual. You're an intellectual. I write books. You support me writing books. You know what I mean? I'm pro-Black all day, but I'm more pro-love and pro-God than I am anything. Hey, if you can resonate and you know what I mean? If that's attractive to you, then there's a possibility. If not, if you believe in white Jesus, it's, you know what I mean? I don't even know if I could be with a religious man at this point in my life. I mean, and I don't mean like, you're a Muslim. I mean like, okay, but are you a Muslim like a religious Muslim or more a Muslim like way of life Muslim? I'm more of a Muslim like way of life Muslim. That's why my last name is Ali. Because I'm a Muslim, but I'm a way of life Muslim. I don't do dogma and I'm the religious aspect because there's so much value in the Bible. There's so much value in the Tao. There's so much value in African mysticism and spirituality. There's so much value in the symbolic metaphysics stories from all of the ancient cultures and civilizations around the world. That's why I don't argue about that. Oh, don't call yourself Black. Oh, you need to identify with your, like all the shit that everybody is arguing about right now. Meanwhile, when it all boils down to it, we all just want to find peace and love and connection to source. And yes, obviously 100% abundance, 100% economic stability, 100% union of like minds. I don't want to unite with everybody. I want to unite with people that have similar experiences, similar goals and aspirations, similar trajectory, because God's people are on a different trajectory right now, respectfully. Can you be considered pro-Black and date outside your race? Like I was saying before, bring the vittles back to the community, meaning not vittles, meaning, finances obviously was way bigger than just money. Like, are you still mentoring your nieces and nephews if you got a white wife? Are you still going and spending and contributing intentionally, consistently to Black businesses and you got a white husband? Right? Are you still actively buying Black literature and Black culture and investing in things with an intention as a Black man or a woman, and you got a Latino or an Asian or, you know what I mean? Some other race of spouse? I think in that instance you can. Yeah, I do. And especially because, our young people need their uncles and they need community leaders, they need street soldiers, they need coaches, right? So what can I tell a Black man who has a white wife, who has dedicated himself as a coach in football or in basketball, in the ghettos of America, raising and helping to raise predominantly Black boys in situations where it's hard to find people that actually love and care about them? What I'm gonna tell that brother, he not pro-Black? No. So there's levels to it, right? Now, obviously, when you reproduce your seed, that's a whole nother thing, but that's beyond race, because race is a factor, yes, but then you're gonna reproduce that woman. Right? You want to reproduce her consciousness. You want to reproduce her behavior. You want to reproduce her state of mind, right? Her, all the things. You want to reproduce his lack of motivation or his, right? All the things. This is stuff that we need to be like conscientiously thinking about in terms of conversations and in terms of relationships. My son is obviously a young man now, and I've pondered would I have a child again, at this big age, right? Because I definitely can if I wanted to. My mother actually had me at the age that I'm at right now, had me. When I was born, my mother was my age that I am now. So she had me in her mid 40s. And so if I wanted to have a child now, yes, but the priority wouldn't be having another child. The priority would be finding a man that I actually want to reproduce. Would I want to reproduce your mind? Would I want to reproduce your genetics? You know what I mean? So this is higher level relationship conversations that I don't know if we're ready for. So this is why it's tough terrain to talking about Black love and Black relationships and whatnot. Because I would absolutely want to reproduce myself, but I also want to graft out aspects of my personality and my characteristics or things about me that I feel like could evolve or grow. I want to graft that shit out of my child. So I need a man that's going to partner with me to help me to not live in my lower nature. You said the men say we just want peace. Yeah, we want peace too. I just want peace too. You know what I mean? I want to be able to come in the house and do whatever I need to do, whether it's cooking or cleaning or just sitting back and watching Netflix and chilling. I want to do that in a peaceful environment too. I want you to be able to speak life and speak love into me and make me feel confident about myself and make me feel compassion and empathy from a masculine, from a righteous, powerful masculine energy. I want to feel that shit too. I'm just talking now at this point. I don't even know How did I get on this topic? Relationships. You know, I say heaven is increasing and hell is increasing. Okay, that means the stakes is high. So I can't just be laying down with any random man. I have to have sexual discipline to be who I am. It's just par for the course. I don't want just any random dude touching me. You know what I mean? Nobody's fly enough or fine enough or got enough money to pull me into a one-night stand. It's just not going to happen. So, you know, again, why did I even go there? I'm trying to reel it back in. Heaven and hell is increasing. Heaven is going to increase for those of us who have discipline. Hell is going to increase for those of you who don't. Heaven is going to increase if you can control your diet and fast, because you're not going to be as able to infiltrate and control than somebody who is eating Popeyes and McDonald's or Kraft macaroni and cheese. I saw a video the other day that said the products that are from America that are outlawed in the rest of the world. Bruh, Kraft macaroni and cheese, boxed Kraft macaroni and cheese was at the top of the list. Now, when is the last time I bought that? I wouldn't even, that's not even, you know what I mean? There's nowhere in the lexicon of my diet since I don't even know when. I might buy some Annie's vegan macaroni and cheese. Actually, I might take a box of vegan macaroni and cheese and that'd be my dinner. Annie's has a good one, and then there's a good one they sell at Bristol Farms, which is in LA. It's like $8 a box, so it ain't cheap, but it's oh my God, it's wow. Add some almond milk or some oat milk to it. Yeah, I'll eat a box of macaroni and cheese, and that'll be sufficient for me. But it's vegan. I'm just saying, Kraft didn't make that shit. If you still eating Wonder Bread, I don't really know what to tell you. And again, I'm being funny and facetious. I'm making jokes and making light of situations, but these people are liabilities. Let me walk that back because it sounds so hardcore. Because I'm acting like I don't, you know what I mean? Like I ain't out in the world, like I ain't dealing with. That's not the case at all. Like that's not the case at all. I ain't trying to sound haughty or none of that. It's just real in the field in 2026. We got to take the kid gloves off. And this ain't nothing I haven't been saying for the longest anyway. And I try to do it delicately in soft, feminine words, and y'all don't respond to that shit. So here we are. I guess there's beauty in diversity. However, you have to consciously have Planned Parenthood, not the devil's version created by Margaret Sanger. If you're asking that in terms, I feel like you were the person who asked the original question, right? About, let me make sure so I don't. No, you're not. Okay, so then never mind. Do you know your purpose? You 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old watching this video, whether you're watching me live or whether you watch it live later. Do you know your purpose? That's not an accusatory question, because if you don't, then that's the word. Because operating in this with all this chaos and all this insanity that we got to deal with, I don't know how you're functioning operating in this world if you're not moving towards a purpose. How are you functioning? How does any of this make sense? The experience that I had from writing this book, like I know 1000% I'm walking in my purpose. I got closer to God than I've ever been in my life through the experience of creating this book. That's how I know I'm walking in my purpose. When I have these conversations with you guys and we're talking and we vibing and all of the things, and I'm all over the place, right? In the 10,000 spaces within my brain, and I get in a flow and I close my eyes and I start and thoughts start coming and I start like reacting to my own thoughts. Because if I'm listening to somebody and they speaking truth, like I'm with it. If it's inspiring, I'm gonna catch the Holy Ghost on the inside. Sometimes I catch the Holy Ghost on the inside from my own language. Then you'll see me writing with my pen because it's like, oh, that came from God. I can't forget that. I need to remember that. So I know I'm operating in my purpose because God is using me as a vessel. God is not going to use, what's the Bible passage? You can't fill an old wine with an empty, y'all know it. Somebody tell me in the comments. You got to have a new vessel. You can't put old wine in a new vessel, or what? Tell me what the exact quote is so I don't butcher it, right? But y'all know what I'm saying. It's hard for the devil to control you when you're operating in your purpose. It's hard for the devil to control you, or less to control you when you know who you are. It's hard as a man when you see yourself as valuable and sacred for you to just be laying down with any random thought, because that's what men do. Thought, or, whatever word is best for you. I'm not picky. You know what I mean? Concubine, this, and same thing for women, because these dudes is out here being hoes too. Nobody wants somebody that's for the streets. New wine in old vessel. Neither do people new wine skins is what it was. Okay, thank you very much. Neither do people pour new wine into old wine skins. Okay, and then new wine in old vessels. Okay, yes, exactly. So now we're talking about just on a physical level, what your physical body looks like, how you taking care of yourself, how you tapping in with yourself. How can you be operating in your purpose if you're not even taking care of your vessel? And then it's a lot of layers to this. So I said the heart-centered living, right? Whatever that thing is, you got to deal with it. If it's parental neglect, if it's the abandoned inner child, if it's abandonment issues, which I have 100%. Like I said, my inner child crept up on me in the last 2 years and was like, oh, is that what you think? No, we gonna get you there. But first we got to deal with this. You need to come back and revisit this. So whatever it is, you got to deal with it. Child out somewhere in the world that you lost contact with. You feel stuck and stagnated in the relationship you with. You hate your husband. You hate your wife. You hate your baby mama. You hate your job, right? You made a mistake that you still paying for, or you still, got fear because the last man left you. And so you think it ain't no more good men, or your last chick hurt you and ran off with your money, or you looking at all the ladies online and they all talking about how horrible all the men, like all this shit, all this noise. I ain't never seen so many women who don't like men in my life. I'm so glad I wasn't born in this generation. I'm talking about like real, serious, tangible, ill men. Oh, do you really think I want to be in a world with only women? No. Do you really think that we need to, that it's even a viable, logical idea that there aren't enough good men left in the world so we should just dismiss them all? Hell no. Nah. I'm worried about you women. I've been surrounded by good men my whole life. Starting with my dad, and even him, I have qualms and issues with him, but he was the parent that was present. Yeah, he put me in some dysfunctional environments, but I didn't miss any meals. I was going to a private school, in a predominantly Black private school in Oakland during its golden ages. He used to come pick me up every day and take me to McDonald's back when the food was still real and give me lunch, which was the best thing ever, right? So from my dad to my uncles to all the kings that are in my life right now, to my homeboys, to my friends, to my relationships, like I know a lot of very high quality, good, solid foundation-based Black men. Now, do many of them have emotional maturity issues, or some of them? Yes. But most of us do too. And quiet is kept, we usually inflict those things through the mother-son dynamic. That's where the real tragedy happens that all other women end up paying for in the long run. Yes, the father-son dynamic for sure, but that mother-son dynamic, if that's off course, he's going to give every other woman in his life hell until he heals. I've seen it too many times. That's why I was a very conscientious and intentional mother with how I raised my son. I've done a service to all young Black women everywhere in how I raised my son. I really could walk away from the table now and feel like my job was done. And that's an extra nod for all of the women who are raising sons right now in terms of making sure that you're on your square. How I carried myself determined the type of quality of woman that my son is eventually going to marry. He might young play, do whatever it is, but like, yeah, he ain't never seen me wilding out of character, walking out the house half naked, bringing a bunch of men in and out of my house. You know what I mean? Not ever. So I said, do you know your purpose? I said fasting. I said heart-centered living. That means that you right now, you listening to this should have something that you are consistently pouring yourself into that is magnifying love. It might be your child. It might be your work. It might be your business. It might be an invention. It might be a piece of fashion. It might be a book. It might be a poem. It might be a piece of art. It might be a piece of furniture. It might be an herbal remedy. It might be being in nature. All of us have to consistently be intentional about having something that we are connected to that is radiating heart-centered living. When I come and have these conversations with you guys, it's magnifying my frequency. Even the trolls in the comments. You know, that's why Society, I got the cash out. Thank you so much. That doesn't mean you can disrespect me, but it does mean that you understand some ground rules. You know what I mean? And I appreciate the reciprocity. So thank you with the little kissy faces. That's just so funny to me how you just, you know what I mean? He's like a little boy that always wants my attention. Okay, son, I got you. Thank you so much for the love. Whatever it is that you fear, that you're worried about, the lack of love, the lack of support, the abandonment, the abuse, the trauma, the constantly sabotaging ourselves, because this is something that all of us are dealing with on different levels. It could be emotional sabotage, it could be financial sabotage, it could be relationship sabotage. But a lot of us, especially those of us who've never been properly loved, in terms of my upbringing, my family situation, like, yeah, I'm trying to, you know what I mean? I think that's why I'm such a good scientist. I think that's why I'm such a good alchemist. Because I grew up in this situation that I was either going to become it or I was going to transmute that shit and become, you know what I mean? Something special. And here we are. Heart-centered living, whatever it is, you got to deal with it. You got to confront it. You got to face it. And then we had grace periods before where it's like, yeah, but I'll just stay busy, be in grind, hustle mode. I'm not going to deal with that right now. Yeah, no, the buck stops here. It has to be dealt with and addressed right now, whatever it is. Hit me up if you want to do a consultation. Perhaps I can assist you with that. Leave a message in the comments or send me a DM because I'm trying to get my email situation fixed. Whatever you do not control mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically about yourself right now it makes you a potential liability in terms of how you are having to navigate this world. I don't just mean like, oh, I don't have control over my diet, so now the devil's going to be at my door. Like, no, that's kindergarten. I'm talking about I don't have control of my diet and I'm eating food that is keeping me neurologically and mentally and emotionally unbalanced, because that's what it does. If you eat Kraft macaroni and cheese, yeah, that shit's affecting your brain. If you eat pork, you know what I mean? I shouldn't even have to have that conversation on this with my audience, right? We're all clear on that, right? The meat element, okay, there's another level of density. There's a whole nother level to still eating meat now. We don't have time for that, but I'm just saying, if you are consistently eating a bad, unhealthy diet on an ongoing basis, and then you are wondering why you keep running into this type of relationship or this type of friendship, or why you allow people to mistreat you, because you mistreat yourself. I hope YouTube isn't cheating you 2 pop commercials and advertisements in less than 5 minutes. Just now, be aware. Okay, so I appreciate that. Much love. Let me tap in with you guys in the chat room real quick before I let you beautiful souls out of here. We're at the 2.5-minute mark. So I've given you my heart and soul tonight. I hope it's beneficial for you. I hope it's, you know what I mean, brought you some value. I hope this message and this conversation gives you some semblance of stability or some peace, because if it doesn't, then what's the point? While everybody's talking about World War III and talking about war and dealing with the obvious physical war and potential for more war that's on the horizon, meanwhile consistently neglecting the war that's happening in the minds and hearts of the masses, even some of you, even me. I've been at war with myself. This is why the passage in the Bible that talks about Jacob wrestling with the angel, yeah, I wrestled with God. You know what I mean? I ask the questions people say you're not supposed to ask. Right? I needed to make sense. I needed to stick to my ribs. You made me a scientist. This is, you know, talking about God. You made me a scientist. Now we can't get mad that the scientist is, you know what I mean, doing what scientists do. I need answers. I need these things to make sense. Somebody asked me what was my purpose, right? What is my purpose in life? My purpose is to consciously and intentionally reach the highest potentials of my inner being and to galvanize and to collect and to remember and to embrace and to embody all of the beautiful things that come with being God, having a human experience called ZaZaAli. And to put my mind into the world. That's why my name Zaza means belonging to all in Hebrew. And so I've conceptualized that later on after I named myself. I'm not going to say I was all, super wise about it when I was writing prophecy in advance. But that concept of belonging to all, which is what Zaza means, is I've been very intentional, even from a child, that I wanted to put my mind out into the world and that I wanted to be known for my mind. I was very emphatic about that as a young girl because I saw the pitfalls of vanity on both sides. The people who are expressing the vanity and then the people on the other side that's feeling the extreme polarity of the vanity. You know what I mean? They energetically harnessing your energy and attaching themselves to you on some physical shit, totally denying everything else about you and just trying to, suck your spirit dry, pause. I was dealing with that type of stuff when I was a little girl. And so I knew a light clicked on in my head, about how that, I was considering these things at a very young age, but I decided at 11 that I want to put my mind out into the world and be known for my mind. That is a part of my purpose. That's why I'm 7 books in, because every book is a representation of my mind. We come together and have these conversations for 2.5 hours. I'm putting my mind out into the world. Right. And then to alchemize, to be an alchemist in terms of alchemizing the circumstances of being a quote unquote mixed race girl growing up in Oakland in a very racially charged environment where there's this race dichotomy is playing out in a major way. And so I grew up in that environment, but then that wasn't enough for me. Right. That wasn't the only aspect. So then I was like, what's bigger than this? What's beyond this? And then there was God. And then the whole time when I was like feeling the void from my life experience, God was like consistently lifting me up and carrying me and holding me, the Most High, source, whatever you prefer. And so now I feel accountable and responsible to that consciousness, to that energy, to that spirit, to help other people feel carried, to help other people feel loved, to help other people feel valued and appreciated. Because I know what it feels like to not have that. I know what it feels like to really be alone in the world. You know what I mean? And so once you have to deal with that, you have to transmute that and alchemize that. It's like, yeah, part of my purpose is to bring a conversation and an energy and a spirit and a laugh and a book and a word. Y'all see, I'm a poet too. I am a poet. I just don't write poetry anymore, but I speak in poetry. It's a thing. I know because people tell me all the time. So, it's a thing. And again, when I'm talking like that, I close my eyes. That's the Sufi in me. You know what I mean? That's the Sufi, that original Islam that wasn't about religion, that was actually about consciousness and culture and poetry and the beautiful things in life and intimate things and softness and flowery words and, the representation of God through artistic expression. You see, that's some shit a poet would say. Okay. So respect my, you know what I mean? I need to start writing my poetry again, but yeah, I'm way off that. That's neither here nor there. So I'm going to tap in with you guys in the chat room real quick because I know I've been on one. And so let me just bring myself back down to, I started arguing with God over my brother's murder, my father and stepfather dying in 3 years. My aunt told me to help someone who was alone, struggling, someone who didn't have 5 siblings and 2 moms. Facts. And when you're struggling, when you feel low, when you feel that darkness is consuming you, I know for me, because I've been through, in my adult life, I've been through, you know what I mean? Like my dark nights of the soul is like, I've been through it, and it always helps me to help somebody else. It always assists me to be of value and to bring to light and to add value into other people's lives. So I totally agree with you about that. You were radiating out of your eyes when you said that. Which part? Oh, the poetry. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm a poet. On my square with the psychological war going on, zero tolerance. Your purpose is for me. Really? You send me $20. That's not, the math is not mathing. If my purpose is for you, yeah, you know what I mean? You got to show and prove. It's not, you need to, the math isn't mathing. So we'll revisit that in a few minutes. You have given me very solid insight and I'm grateful for it. Much love. I appreciate you. It's all good. What do you say to those who say, I've always eaten the bullshit you complain about and I feel great? Number one, you don't. You can't feel great when you eat bullshit. You might be used to feeling bad. You might be used, you say you have chronic pain in your body. You might be used to that weird, feeling you get in your stomach before you got to go to the bathroom. Or, you might be used to, your body might be neutral to, and then again, it's the feeling fine is one thing. The physical representation of that is one thing, but mentally and emotionally, no. And you can't even quantify that. So, it's hard to have that kind of conversation because it's like, are you keeping track of your emotional well-being? How many times you spazzed out this week for no reason? Are you keeping track of your emotional stability and how you are treating the people around you? And you know what I mean? Most people aren't. Most people who don't eat well aren't. So that whole, I've always eaten it, and then there's our elders, because our elders are saying, I always ate pork and I always this or I always that. I mean, listen, I, at my big age, am so grateful for having spent the last 20 years of my life eating a plant-based diet. I am so grateful that I have been doing yoga for 20 plus years. I am so grateful at my age that I can come and do a video with you guys and show my real face and only have lipstick on. And actually, this is how I really look because I have taken care of myself and maintained myself. It ain't nothing that my physical body in my mid 40s can't do right now that I couldn't do in my 20s. But I'm a hiker. I'm very physically active. So for me, being in my 50s or in my 60s or in my 70s, I expect that there's going to be a continuity in that, right? I expect that I'll still be hiking in my 70s and in my 80s and in my 90s. Because I've been taking care of myself for so long. So it's not just that I'm still alive. Yeah, I've been eating shit my whole life and I'm still alive. Yeah, but are you thriving? You know what I mean? What does your skin look like? What does your aura look like? How do you appear? How do you show up when you in the room? You know, how does your spirit affect other people? Like, there's levels to this. So, you know, I say do as you choose. I don't try to enforce or tell people to do anything. Do what works for you. There's no judgment. But for me, I want to be operating at a high capacity. I've been working out. I'm on a 30-day yoga workout regimen. If I don't do yoga, I have to do a workout. And I'm saying that because it's really a 30-day yoga challenge for myself. But today I didn't do yoga. I just did dumbbells. I did upper body. I did a full body dumbbell workout, but I did it from home, right? And I was thinking because I put up a picture in my stories about it. Yesterday, I've added weights to my yoga practice because I'm getting my muscle back up. So I'm saying all of that to say, I was thinking earlier after I finished my workout, because I was like sitting down, huffing and puffing, right? Mind you, I'm at home watching the video on YouTube. I was like, bruh, if you have discipline, you can do anything. One thing I pride myself on, I'm very disciplined. If I put myself to my mind to do something, it's gonna get done. And in terms of my physical workouts, like, I don't have to go to the gym. I don't have to have a trainer. If I put my mind to be physically fit, I'm gonna put the work in and do what needs to be done. And so that, or hiking outside or whatever it is. So, you know, it just depends on what level you want to live at. If you can say that out your mouth, I've always eaten the bullshit you complain about, and I feel great. If you can say that and feel good about yourself, I say more power to you. Zaza, a whole gift. Okay. So you got poetry too. I'm here for that. Honestly thankful I found your channel after all these years ago. Well, I'm thankful you did too. And I'm very happy to have you here. Truth shall set me free when I become true in my truth. And doing right by God. Thanks, Zaza. Much love. Somebody said chicken is just as dirty as pork. You know, there's a caveat to that. Because, you know, if you're eating halal, one thing I will say about halal milk, right? Not milk, but meat. If you eat in halal, then you're going to get a different type of quality of meat. So there's that. But the meat that's in the stores that they're selling right now, I wouldn't trust any of that shit. Now, what you do in that situation is say, okay, and walk away, go about your life, because that's crazy. Probably talking about the person. Bad food kills most people young. I agree. Now, we have all these rappers, for instance, you know, 40 and 50-year-old rappers that are dying from heart disease or from all these, you know, complications based around how they eat. And I'm just like, yeah, that's, you know, you 50 and you dying based on your diet. That's insane to me. 50 is not that far away from me. And, you know, when you 20, you think 50 is old, but as you live some life, because you don't really start figuring this shit out until your 40s. And you don't know that until you're 40. When I was 30, I thought when I was in my 30s, I thought I had a handle on it. Then it was like late 30s was like, yeah, but no. You know what I mean? There's another masterclass around the corner. Hit this wall. Take this L. You know, take this ass whooping real quick from the universe. And then, you know, in your 40s, we're going to come back and regroup. So in your 40s, you're really just trying to figure this shit out. And I say that for men and women, but then for women in particular, because now I'm way more cognizant of the like age thing and how, you know, people talk about women once they hit a certain age range. And it's like, oh, so now that I'm 40, I don't have any more value anymore. And I'm just now starting to like feel comfortable in my skin. I'm just now starting to live for myself. I'm just now starting to like right the wrongs of all my mistakes and all of the dumb shit I did in my life. I'm just now figuring out, you know, who I am as a woman outside of motherhood. Now you're going to tell me I don't have any value anymore when I have the highest value to the most high? Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. You know what I mean? Like I'm walking into the wisdom of womanhood. This is when God is like heavily infiltrating and invested in speaking through me and using me as a vessel. And you're trying to tell me that I don't have any more value? I beg your pardon. Who sent you? That was poetic, but like gangster poetic though. You know what I mean? Who sent you? You see how my face, you know what I mean? It's a whole thing, but it's not an act. I'm not performing. It's just who I am. I promise. Right? Who sent you? to be trying to inflict that type of insecurity and low vibrational shit on women, on any woman, because you feel some type of way because of what you don't want. I don't want a woman past ... Well, good for you. I can assure you there are plenty of men who do. I'm not talking about me. I'm just saying in general. This is the prime of my life right now. This is where I am most viable, going back to the wineskin thing. So now, okay, let's use that in context of putting bullshit in your body. So you're going to put old wine in a new wineskin. No, this is a new wineskin. So I can't eat bullshit. If I eat certain types of food, my body reacts immediately, like same day. I don't have to wait a week, you know? So I'm saying all that. Y'all got me on my poetic, lyrical, what Ray say? I'm that lyrical murderer stranded on the road with my ill-timed flow. Yeah. So I hope that I have tickled your fancy paws in terms of like mental and spiritual and emotional stimulation. I hope that I have taken you out of the fuckery and the chaos and the insanity of this world, even when we talked about it, so that we can break the bandwidth of that frequency and the control that it has over the collective consciousness, particularly the people of God, because I need the people of God to not be operating in that fear, ping pong all over the place, everywhere but nowhere mindset. I need you guys, come. Let's come back to the center. Now, yes, be cognizant and mindful of wars happening around the world, but the most important war is the war that you're fighting within yourself. This is a fact. We can't really contribute anything in the collective consciousness until we deal with that. I should get into homesteading. I got a few things to do before I do that. But you're right. Thanks for reading my comment. True broadcasting, you deserve a better pay for airing the truth. Much love. I'm a fan for over 7 good years. Well, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you for being here. And if they're smart, they'll understand that everyone gets to that point. Much needed, and I didn't even know I needed this. So then I did it for you. Whole video, whole intention, whole conversation was for you. Your spoken word has to be crazy good. Yeah, and my lyricism too as a rapper. One day I'm going to do a song. I'm going to do a song. I'm going to do a video. I need a fly beat. I need, it's going to have to be like California, Nipsey Hussle, Tupac type vibes, but Oakland still, because, that's what we represent. But yeah, I'm going to do a whole song. I'm going to write a song. I'm going to do a video. I'm going to do the whole bit, and then I'm going to fade to black, and I ain't going to never do it again. That's just the most Scorpio shit ever. It's really how my personality is wired. It's like, you know what I mean? Hit you with just a little bit, and then you can't have any more. But yeah, I pride myself. I love words. I love language. It's like, that's why I love Sufism so much and Rumi, because like being able to use words to like console a person or to uplift a person or to chastise and criticize a person in a loving way, of course, even though it don't always come out that way, or to enlighten, or to, like all the things like, oh, English is a bastard language. We need to learn this. We need to learn that. Like, bruh, if it's a bastard language, we should be mastering it. So my goal is to master it. And I'm learning Spanish too. So one day I'm going to come on here and spit some poetry to you guys in Spanish. But then, you know what I mean? Y'all don't be knowing how to handle it when I show too much of myself. So Scorpios are very mysterious facts. Saying my name is for your stimulation. He wants my attention, guys, so let's give it to him. Yeah. So I'm going to leave you beautiful people there. Again, all of my books are on sale on my website right now, so you can still take advantage. Probably until tomorrow. It's just my holiday sale that I need to sit down and go back and update those all of the sites and all of the different books, but they're all on sale for major savings. Actually, if you send your payment by Cash App, I won't charge you anything for shipping. Just put your shipping address in the Cash App subject and I will get that out to you right away. Ancient People, a Social Studies and History textbook. So you see, we ain't even talk about history today. Look where we went. We went all over the world. We talked about pop culture. We talked about politics. We talked about governance. But then I created this whole body of work that goes back 150,000 years. So I'm a layered poet. What is my purpose? What is my purpose? He asked me, or she asked me, what is my purpose? My purpose is to be a layered poet. You know what I mean? And to express the poetry of the Most High and through these different means of design. And by the way, I'm working on a wall. This is the last thing I'm gonna say. I'm gonna let y'all go. I'm working on a wall menu for creating a wall menu for my friend Lori at Juicy Juice in Carson. So it's like this big project that I'm working on right now, and I'm documenting it. So I'm going to share it with you guys so you can see another part of my creative motif. It's like a huge life-size wall menu of her juices and her smoothies and her new menu and all of the things. But it's like based on the periodic table of elements because she is a scientist. And so it's going to be dope. I'm going to share it with you guys. I have several projects outside of the stuff that you guys know that I do that I'm like creatively expressing myself. So I'll share those things with you guys when the time comes. Thank you for the Cash Apps. Thank you for the Super Chat. I've talked to you guys for 3 hours. So this is my time, my energy. So I do appreciate the reciprocity because this don't really pay my bills. And for the support with my books, again, they're all on sale right now. You can click the link in the description, or you can just shoot me a Cash App for the one you want based on that low price until tomorrow. And until then, I told you guys my email is down, but I'm hoping it'll be fixed tomorrow. I was trying to get it done this weekend, but I didn't make the progress I wanted. So if you can't reach me there, reach me on social media in the meantime. And yeah, I will see you beautiful people very soon. Peace and love.